Watching on fox5atlanta.com and on Fox Local for your smartphones and your streaming devices. And of course, you can always listen in. If you can't watch, listen on the Fox 5 Radio 1 network. That's going to be 107.9.
Here we go. And good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We have a lot to tell you about this afternoon, including the Nancy Guthrie case. But we want to get a check of some of the stories that we are working on right now in the Fox 5 newsroom. We have a team of reporters scattered throughout our entire area gathering content right now. I want to bring in Fox 5 News managing editor Cal Calloway. He's standing by at our assignment desk. He's been in contact with all of those reporters. Hey, Cal, what do we have coming up later on today?
Just spoke with our reporter anchor Eric Perry. Has a great story out of East Atlanta. The circumstances start off horribly. The house fire destroys a family's home in East Atlanta. The good news is that everyone was able to get out. The reason they were able to get out, there was a 12-year-old boy inside that house who got out, went and got his little sister out of the home through a window, went back into the house, got his cousin out. So no one was injured. The family's unfortunately there. This is a home that's been in the family for some time. Practically everything is destroyed except one item, the family's Bible. So Eric's going to talk to this family tonight at 4, 5, and 6. Look forward to hearing from that family about the heroic acts of the little 12-year-old.
Yeah, thankfully he was there and able to jump into action. What else do we have going on?
Doug Evans has an interesting story out of Coweta County for us, and Coweta has put out an alert regarding something that was stolen over the weekend, and frankly, it's an unusual item. It was a school bus. The school bus was taken from a parking lot at the elementary school. It turned up in West Georgia. Now the sheriff's office has released 2 photographs of a woman who they believe took that school bus. Why she took it, we have no idea right now. Doug's talking to the sheriff's office this afternoon. What we do know is they want to find this woman, probably try to determine what she was doing with that school bus. Tyler?
Yeah, kind of weird to be essentially allegedly breaking into a school bus, and obviously they have the pictures and the video evidence to show that someone did that. They obviously want to make sure they can bring her to justice. And what's another story we have? I know we have 2 more reporters out there today.
Annie Mapp has talked to a female student at Clark, Atlanta, who is upset with the security force of the university. The circumstances are this. Last week, she went to a night class. She did not have her required student ID on her. Her version of the story is that some security guards came up while the class was going on, asked her to step outside. She's put in handcuffs. She's taken to, I guess, police offices or administration offices. She's held there for 3 hours. Then she is let go. Now, several things here that we've already discovered. There is a policy that we can see that stated that you must have your ID with you. Her question is, though, was it this requiring me to be put in handcuffs? We understand the university is taking some action with an investigation. They say they're reviewing their procedures, and they put the officer who was involved in this situation on leave. Annie's talked to that student. We'll hear from her this afternoon.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting story there, because I mean the fact that putting in handcuffs is kind of shocking over a student ID. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from that student later on. I know the story we've been following over the last 24 hours was that issue at Palmetto Elementary School after a woman was shot and killed outside, just steps from the front door there. We're following up on that. Angelique is once again in South Fulton County.
She is right now trying to track down the family of that woman. The authorities released the woman's name earlier today. I think we've been reporting since last night and this morning that the suspect in that shooting is in custody in Houston County in Middle Georgia. We're trying to get information of when he may be brought back to Fulton County to face charges. And again, Anjali Proctor, who was on that story when it was breaking yesterday, is following up and give us any new developments. On a more positive light, though, for those of us who enjoy baseball, spring training is now underway, and we have a crew with the Fox 5 sports team who are in Florida talking to the players, the new manager, Walt Weiss, today. They've gotten off to a bad start. If you follow the Braves at all, you know that one of their starting pitchers they have been counting on this whole season was put on the 60-a-day injured list yesterday. One of their relievers, who was one of their top relievers in 2024, who was out all season last year, who they were also counting on, is also out on the 60-day IL list. So not getting off to a great start here. We need some more pitching. So, Tyler, you know any good pitchers the Braves can pick up? Yeah. You better give them a call right now.
I think we all know, people watching us here on the stream don't know this, but Cal, I think you're our biggest Braves fan in this building. Anytime there's a day game and you're working, you are screaming at that TV. How excited are you that baseball is back, spring training's getting underway, and what are we, just a month and a half or so away until that first pitch at Truist Park?
Yeah, first pitch will be at the end of March. Baseball season means spring and summer. So how could you not be looking forward to that? Look, I think the team's going to have a good team this year. The pitching is a concern right now. Mm-hmm. And if you are in Braves country, you talk to any fans like myself, they're really worried what's happened in the last 24 hours.
Are you hoping for a better season? We didn't get to the postseason last year, which was the first time in I think it was 7 years. Are you hoping for a different change this time?
Absolutely, I'm hoping for a better season. I mean, the Braves need to be in playoffs. So we can't have what happened last year. I want to see some October baseball. One of my best sports memories here in Atlanta was there when the Braves clinched the National League pennant in 2021. And, of course, they went on to win the World Series. So we want to see some more moments like that.
Well, would World Series be your ultimate goal? And you think Braves country would enjoy that?
No. Ultimate goal is to win the World Series.
Well, Cal Calloway, thanks so much for joining us and giving us an update on the stories we are working on today. We have a lot more that we are also following if we come back into our set here as we continue on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We are following the big story out of Tucson, Arizona, and that is the search for Nancy Guthrie. We are nearly 2 weeks into this, and there is no signs of where she is. A person of interest was taken into custody overnight for some questioning. That person has been released, and TMZ says it has received another note in connection with her disappearance. Fox's Caroline Elliott is live in Tucson, Arizona. Caroline, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Tyler. We are seeing a lot of developments in southern Arizona over the last 24 hours or so, but in the last few minutes, we just got word that the FBI is now conducting multiple searches in this area, and we're now hearing that those searches could be happening between Nancy Guthrie's home and her daughter Annie's home that lives nearby. So again, a lot of preliminary information we're still working through now, but we do know investigators are now looking through a lot of different tips since that surveillance video was pushed out, but at this moment they still do not have a suspect.
Where my whereabouts. Okay. Where do I work? Where was I and all that, but...
Investigators detaining this delivery man during a traffic stop south of Tucson last night. He was questioned in connection with Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, but later released as investigators searched a home.
They just came up, they until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly looked like my eyes.
It came hours after the FBI released images of a person at Nancy's front door covered with a ski mask, jacket, and gloves. The person appeared to be armed with the gun placed at the front of their waistband.
That carry is where you put an unholstered firearm inside your waistband and then pull your shirt out over the front of it. And was that pistol there for intimidation purposes, or are we dealing with a non-professional?
And after receiving an alleged ransom note asking for millions in cryptocurrency for Nancy's safe return, TMZ says they have received a third letter, this time from somebody who says they know the kidnapper and has tried reaching out to the Guthrie family.
They said they want 1 Bitcoin sent to a Bitcoin address that we have confirmed is active, and as they put it, time is more than relevant.
And we'll also add that law enforcement hasn't said if they believe this latest letter was authentic, or any of the ransom notes for that matter. But for the family, though, their focus is still on bringing their mom home, as it's now been 11 days since she went missing. Tyler.
Caroline, can I ask you real quick, what's the mood like in Tucson right now? I mean, obviously, this has just been continuing on for so long.
Yeah, Tyler, when you talk to people who live here, it is really just disbelief and pure shock. I mean, this is truly a safe area. This is a residential area, and a lot of people have said they cannot believe that this is happening in their community. For some of these people here, it's happening literally in their backyard. So we know just off camera to our left here, there's flowers and candles in front of the home here, as a lot of people are wanting to see her come back home. Tyler.
Caroline Elliott in Tucson, Arizona, thank you for the update and the in-depth report on what is going on. We appreciate your time, and we'll let you get back to gathering more information, the latest for us throughout the day. Thanks so much. And as we come back into our newsroom here, obviously that is a story we are following. Another one we are following has to do with the weather. If you stepped outside today here in Metro Atlanta, it was probably a rainy start. I mean, you saw it, and unfortunately, I got rained on as I took 2 dogs outside to go to the bathroom this morning. Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes is in our weather center tracking it all. When I walked out a little bit ago, it seemed like it all has kind of faded away, which is some good news.
Well, in the city, yes, but up north of the city, we're still hanging on to some scattered shower activity at this hour. 62 is where we stand in Atlanta. You can kind of see some of that rain-cooled air up to the north, parts of Canton up towards Blairsville at this hour. Yeah, 55, 53. That's also where the northerly breeze has really taken over. And in fact, let me send this over to Fox 5 Live Viper real quick so that I can show you where the rain is falling, because there's another pocket of some heavier stuff just back across the Alabama state line that's moving in towards Harrelson and Carroll here in the next few minutes. Don't be surprised to see some sprinkles here in the metro before the afternoon is over. But whatever we do see pushes down to the south later this evening and really falls apart as it does so. There's 5 p.m. I expect many people are going to see the sunset tonight as we wake up cooler tomorrow morning, mid-30s as opposed to this morning's upper 50s, and a sunny day on the way for your Thursday for the most part. Some clouds up across the North Georgia state line. Regardless, it's going to be a nice Thursday, as will Friday here across the metro area. Things get a little tricky, though, for the weekend. Watch this now. This is Saturday, 10 p.m. On the GFS, we are completely dry. This, of course, is Valentine's Day. Get into Sunday, a much different story. This is 2 p.m. Some widespread heavy rain across the areas that last into Sunday night. In that scenario, many spots would have the opportunity to see more than an inch of rain, which would be fantastic. We need the rainfall, so we would take the opportunity to get it here. Meanwhile, its counterpart, the European model, this is why we have a rain chance on Valentine's Day. It does bring in some scattered showers before midnight, so by and large, Valentine's Day still dry, but then widespread rain overnight Saturday into Sunday. And in this scenario, maybe even a couple of storms along with it, but I'm not necessarily looking for severe weather by any stretch of the imagination. Now, in the European scenario, it has an inch plus of rain mainly across the mountain counties. The metro Atlanta area is still more than a half inch, which isn't nothing, but we need a lot more than that to put a dent in our drought. So the way I see it now is a 30% chance of rain on Valentine's Day, a high temperature of 60, which is in the ballpark of where we should be for this time of year. And then Sunday, yeah, trending towards a washout. If you have any outdoor plans on Sunday, I don't know about that one. We might run into some problems there. But luckily for a lot of people, it is a 3-day weekend, and we do have President's Day on Monday, which will be nicer. 63, your high temperature there under partly cloudy skies. 67 on Tuesday. So into next week, remaining above average, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a huge difference than what we have been seeing over the last couple of weeks. Okay, so we were talking about this on Fox 5 News at 4 on Monday. People were talking about possible snow over the weekend. The temperatures don't look like they've changed any, so no winter weather still, right?
Unless you can make it snow while it's 49 degrees outside and defeat all laws of physics, no.
That was so interesting to me when I heard that, and then you mentioned the same thing. I was like, why are people thinking that we're going to see snow when the temperatures, let's look, 59, 49. It's not even anywhere close to 32. If it was like 34, maybe. But
yeah, and I can tell you two different things. One, there was a map floating around of one of our European models showing snow this weekend like 9 days ago. One, that's why you don't ever trust any forecast more than 7 days out, because if we did that, it would have snowed 20 times already this year. But the other thing is, I got screenshots of people's weather apps, namely the Apple weather app, that said numbers like this, 59, 42, we'll use that as an example, a little snowflake icon. If you can't make it make sense, then it probably doesn't make sense, right? So that's something to always just check yourself on. If you see the little snowflake icon, make sure that temperature is actually below freezing.
So you mentioned that, and I want to bring that up. Obviously, you're a meteorologist. You went to school for this. The weather apps are not. They're taking a lot of different data, different models, and things like that. Is that one of the reasons why people really should maybe take what they see on those apps, like the Apple weather app, with a grain of salt and maybe check but verify?
Well, yes, and I mean, I'm not trying to sell myself here, but an app doesn't explain things.
Oh, come on, do it.
Right? You know, that's you need context around a lot of things, right? Like if you saw the rain today and 70%, you'd probably be thinking, oh, well, it's going to rain all day. Well, if you had watched Fox 5 News at noon yesterday or streamed at Fox Local at 1 p.m., you would have known it was primarily during the morning hours. South of I-20, you're not going to see much. You'd get all the details behind it that an app can't necessarily convey.
Well, Alex, I appreciate your time. Thanks for that in-depth answer. I think some people just look at the apps and just assume they're accurate, but it's always good to verify somewhere else, maybe with a trusted meteorologist like the Fox 5 Storm Team. Alex, thanks so much. As we come back in here to our newsroom, we still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're going to be checking in with an Emory University professor, and it has to do with AI. Have you seen those caricature pictures that people are doing where they're taking like their image and it turning into a caricature? Well, there's some problems with that. So we're checking in with an Emory University professor who can kind of explain why there's some dangers there. That's just ahead when Fox 5 News Live at 1 continues. And welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live at 1. I'm Tyler Fingert. We are continuing to stream along with us. If you are on any of our platforms, we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, Fox Local. We are monitoring the comments, so come along, join the chat, and join us for this news conversation. We want to continue now. There is a new social media trend you have probably seen. It's the ChatGPT Caricature Challenge, where users turn their photos into AI-generated cartoons. Sounds harmless, looks cool. I've definitely seen a lot of them on social media. But some experts at Emory's Coweta Business School say there are privacy risks that many people aren't thinking about. And joining us now to break it down is Professor David Schweidel. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I have certainly seen this trend on social media. I think one of my colleagues did it. It looks really cool, but what's the real concern here?
So keep in mind that these caricatures that are being made are based on information that you have provided to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI system that you're using. If you're comfortable with all the conversations you've had with that AI being used to create an image, there's nothing to be worried about. But there are many people who are using AI like therapists and sharing with them things that they might not want to be public. Well, when you're making these caricatures, you can't control what information is going to be portrayed in them. And so just something to be mindful of is before you go and share this on social media with everyone that you know, take a very close look at it to make sure that there's nothing in there that you're not comfortable sharing with the world.
And what information could they potentially be giving away?
It may be kind of how you feel about family or coworkers. It might be preferences that you've had. It might be trips that you've taken or places that you've gone that you don't want to share with other people. If we think about kind of how much of our life we conduct online, companies like Amazon and Google and Meta know a lot about us already, and that's primarily used for delivering targeted ads to us. And we've already heard from OpenAI that they intend to incorporate advertising into ChatGPT. That's one thing where the data that they've amassed about us can be used for delivering targeted ads. But now what we're talking about is creating kind of this visual depiction of you as an individual. And again, you just want to be careful that you've taken a close look at that before you go sharing that with the world.
So there's concern these images could be used to further train AI. How does that actually work?
So all of these AI models, what they're based on is past examples. So for example, if we're training an image model, it's going to be based on examples that contain both text and the image. So if I've got a picture of a particular bird and I have the name of that bird, I'm going to provide that example to the model, and it's going to learn when I say, here is the name of that bird, here is a bald eagle, it's going to learn what a bald eagle looks like. If I say, this is a BMW X5, it's going to learn what that car model looks like. If I say that this is David Schweidel, it's going to start to learn these different associations. And these models have been trained on millions of examples, and that's what's allowing them to kind of create these composite images.
Okay, so I want to show one of the images. Like, let's say you're looking at the bottom right hand of your screen right now. If people already made one of these, what is the problem and the layer of concern by then sharing it publicly?
So if you've made it, and I say, okay, if we're looking at one of your coworkers that works in a newsroom that likes going to the movies, that is a news producer, as long as you've taken a critical look at that and made sure that there's nothing too personal that's being revealed by that, that's the place where we have the concern, is if there's information that you've shared with the AI that you don't want other people to know about. In these cases, it looks relatively harmless. Again, it's the newsroom, it's the news producer, someone who does entertainment reviews. I wouldn't be too concerned about sharing these things.
Okay, both of these are, one of them is one of our producers, another one is one of people on our assignment desk, and I love actually seeing them because I'm seeing them the first time with you right now. Is this like more of like a marketing thing for these generative AI companies? And then what does that mean, and why is this benefiting them?
Ultimately, yes, this is a marketing tactic. This is a, hey, look at how cool this is, look at how much fun this is, and you should be subscribing to whatever platform you're using to generate this caricature, right? So that may be, let's say, $25 a month for a subscription. That user is going to stay on that platform. As long as they're deriving value from that platform, they're producing a pretty consistent revenue stream for these AI providers.
What's the smart way to approach trends like this? Because they keep popping up consistently.
Yeah, and they're not going to go away, right? Any type of new technology, we all want to push the limits of it. Now, there are a lot of people that are pushing the limits from a professional standpoint, and now we're seeing what are the fun use cases for the AI. I think something to be careful about it. I'm less concerned about using the AI. I'm more concerned with blindly taking what comes out of that AI and then sharing it more broadly. Because, again, once it's on the internet, you can't take it down. That's the safest assumption that you can make. So you've got to be really careful before you decide to post anything online. And when it's based on your personal information, that's where I would encourage folks to be careful.
Is this a preview of what we're going to be seeing as AI continues to progress? I mean, it's starting to become part of everyday life. I mean, I don't know if there's a day that goes by where I don't use one of the AI different technologies out there, whether it's on my iPhone with Apple. They have their Apple Intelligence, and it summarizes a whole bunch of information. Is this just a sign of what is to come?
Yeah, I think that increasingly we're going to see better and better models. We're going to see new image models that come out. We're going to see new video models that come out. You know, here in Atlanta a couple of years back, Tyler Perry had halted the expansion of his studio because he saw a preview of Sora. So going off of this caricature trend, imagine instead of looking at a static image, what if it was an animated image with voice that you were able to incorporate your voice, and I now have a representation of me that I can use as an avatar, and I can make all of these videos of myself. Wouldn't that be cool? Yes, there's a fun aspect to it, but we again have to be mindful of what are we giving away in terms of enabling AI to create a copy of our voice. We've seen an increase in the prevalence of AI-facilitated scams. And so yes, this looks like harmless fun. There are ways in which it can potentially end up being dangerous to folks.
Professor David Schweidel, thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. I mean, super interesting. You see it everywhere, but obviously something people need to be careful with. Actually, before, I think it was a couple days ago, I heard from some legal expert who was saying you should be really careful about doing that, and that's why I actually had not taken part in it. So when I heard we were talking about this, I was actually really excited because it's very important to let people know about what this stuff can do. Professor Schweidel, thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We do appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
And moving on here, we still have a lot more to talk about on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock, including a landmark trial is underway against Meta and YouTube. So that's the parent company behind Facebook, and then obviously YouTube, that big platform that everyone watches videos on, accusing them of designing apps to hook young viewers and users. So how can parents step in to prevent social media addiction? Fox 5's Elise Eady spoke with a psychologist and founder of Successful Parent, Dr. Carrie Mackinson. Let's take a look.
So for those not following this closely or just wondering, what all the ruckus is about with this, let's start by talking about, why this is such a major case against Meta, YouTube, among others. Why is this a big deal for parents?
For Every parent in America should be concerned with what's going on in that courtroom in Los Angeles, because for the first time, social media companies are being held accountable for making their products deliberately addictive for children. And in court this week, internal documents prove it. One YouTube internal document, among many, said that the goal was not viewership, but viewer addiction. Unfortunately, an outdated law, Section 230, has shielded these companies from being held accountable. This lawsuit is the first one to break through that shield. Mark Zuckerberg himself, along with the CEOs of Instagram and YouTube, are expected to testify under oath.
So some experts, Dr. Carey, are comparing this to big tobacco lawsuits of the 1990s that we remember so well. So why are they making that comparison with this that deals with social media?
Because the playbook is identical. Cigarette companies hired scientists, manipulated research, and deleted the data that showed their products were addictive and causing harm. And they did so for profit. The tech companies are doing the same thing. This week in court, one internal email from Meta showed that a researcher was told to delete data that showed the emotional impact of being on their platform. And moving forward, she was told to no longer ask about emotions in surveys. That's straight out of Big Tobacco's playbook. Let's be clear about what they did there. They researched the harm, they confirmed the harm, and then they deleted the data.
So as a clinical psychologist, Dr. Carey, what are some of the warning signs that parents can be on the lookout for when it comes to, social media if it's potentially damaging their child's mental health?
There are quite a few, but parents will notice their kid may seem more irritable, have a greater level of anxiety, appear more withdrawn, or having attention difficulties. The most common I hear, my child's emotional explosions do not match the situation. These are all signs of what I call digital dysregulation. This is not a character flaw in your kid. It's product design. And just yesterday in court, addiction psychiatrist from Stanford, Dr. Anna Lemke, testified under oath that these products are indeed addictive. And said, and I quote, "The earlier the toxin is introduced, the more harm is done to the child's brain." And kids don't recognize their own addictive behavior, so parents cannot expect their children to monitor their screen use. When parents come to my practice, they want help with their child's anxiety, depression, or attention problems. But here's the key. When we remove or reduce these interactive screens from the home, their symptoms improve dramatically.
Makes sense. It does. So really quickly, let me ask you this. While this is all playing out in court, Dr. Carey, what's something that parents can do, right now, today, to protect their kids?
The first thing we parents need to do is recognize that we are the first line of defense. While we can't wait for the government or big tech to do the right thing, we can make changes in our home starting today. First and foremost, delay giving your child a smartphone or a tablet like an iPad for as long as humanly possible. And when they get these devices, they stay in common areas only, never behind closed doors, especially in bedrooms overnight. And commit to doing one screen-free meal or activity with your kid every day. That parent-child relationship is the antidote to what these platforms are doing.
So, Carey, where can parents go if they're watching this, they feel this is something they want to know more about, and just to connect on this, where can they go to learn more and find support?
I'm glad you asked. I just created a free online summit. I brought together 6 experts to answer parents' most frequently asked questions about how to protect their kids in this digital world. It's professionally produced, completely free, and it's designed to feel like you're joining a conversation among your most trusted friends, but those friends happen to be experts. We are not anti-tech. We are pro-family connection, and we're all about helping families find balance. So if parents want to watch this free summit, ironically, they can follow me on Instagram at successful_parent. And once that link is available, they can watch for free, successful_parent on Instagram.
Very interesting. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock, including some trending stories. A woman got onto a plane and, get this, went to the wrong country. That's one of the trending stories we'll discuss in just about 2 minutes. We'll be right back. And thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We are just past the 1:30 half hour, about 1:36 on this Wednesday afternoon, hump day. We appreciate you joining us. I want to talk about some of the stories we are following right now, and one of them has to do with the monks. Do you remember that? That story had been going viral over the last several months as they were making the journey from Fort Worth, Texas, all the way to Washington, D.C., and they have made it to our nation's capital, but that doesn't mean their mission is complete. The monks taking part in a series of events in our nation's capital today, kicking off with a walk to the Peace Monument on Capitol Hill from George Washington University. The public walking behind the monks to their destination. You're looking at video from that earlier today. Later Wednesday, a public walk will take place to the Lincoln Memorial, where a public gathering and closing ceremony will take place. They obviously clearly have a lot of people joining them along this. Just how many people lining the streets there. The final day will conclude with a global love kindness meditation session led by someone at George Washington University. The event will be live streamed, so all the participants, all the people can participate, and the monks will head back to Fort Worth tomorrow. This obviously has been such a huge deal over the course of the last several months as they made that journey. They came through our area during the Christmas holiday, between Christmas and New Year's. We covered it extensively here on Fox Local and Fox 5 Atlanta. So much interest in it, and it's nice to see that they have finally made it to their destination, and their journey is complete. But obviously, their mission is ongoing for that piece. And another story I want to talk about has to do with something out west out in El Paso, Texas, and it has to do with the airspace out there. So we know earlier today we found out that they had to basically block off the airspace in Texas out around the El Paso International Airport, and it was supposed to go for 10 days, but there was a big change. The announcement comes just hours after the FAA said it would ground all the flights to and from that airport for 10 days. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, he wrote on X that the FAA and the Defense Department worked quickly to, quote, address a cartel drone incursion. He says the threat was neutralized and the flights are resuming. This is obviously a big deal because drones can pose a huge danger to planes, and so they're obviously wanting to make sure that everything is on the up and up. But a huge change from a 10-day cancellation of all flights to essentially just a few hours. We're going to continue monitoring that story. There's some back and forth going on in our nation's capital involving the Defense Department and the FAA, and we'll just keep you guys updated throughout the afternoon and evening about what is up with that. As we come back here into our newsroom and our studio here at Fox 5, we have a lot of stories we are tracking throughout the day. We want to check in with Fox 5 digital journalist Sam Daniel. He's at our digital desk monitoring what everyone is clicking on. And so what are some of our top stories that we're seeing?
Hey, Tyler. So one of our biggest top stories right now has to do with a story that you and I have been following closely over the past 2 weeks. It is the Tara Baker murder trial. So Edric Faust is on trial right now, accused of murdering the UGA law student back in 2001. And this trial's been going on. This is the 8th day of testimony. The prosecution is still calling witnesses, but we're finally getting to the point that everybody who's been watching it has been waiting for. Since 2024, when new funds were introduced for the GBI to run DNA evidence, they said Edric Faust was linked to the Tara Baker murder due to new DNA processing. Yesterday and today, GBI agents who helped process that DNA and who questioned Faust after the DNA came back linking him to the case have been taking the stand. They've been testifying about the DNA, how they collected it, the process of getting a warrant, all that kind of stuff. Still, the defense is arguing that there is a chain of custody issue and that they didn't focus enough on Chris Melton, Baker's then boyfriend. Melton actually took the stand on Monday and testified about his alibi at the time. One thing we do want to point out, though, Melton has never been charged in this case. So it's something people are really watching, waiting to see what's going to happen. This has been on the forefront of everybody's mind since the trial started last Monday. The prosecution has not said that these are their last witnesses, but they've kind of been hinting at this is the last thing they're going to present before passing it over to the defense.
And that obviously makes a lot of sense that this is close to the end, especially for the prosecution in the states, because, they went through everything. So you obviously had the 2001 detectives and investigators, the crime scene techs. They all testified over the last week. On Monday was a big one we were waiting for, which was Chris Melton, which was her longtime boyfriend at the time. And then now we're finally seeing and hearing from those DNA experts who worked on the case over the last few years, which actually linked Faust to this. The interesting part to me here is just how much the defense is trying to obviously point to another person, kind of like smoke and mirrors type of situation, because obviously you have the prosecution, the state saying it was definitively Edric Faust. However, obviously the state is saying the opposite, or saying that, the state's saying that, and the defense is saying, hey, there's another plausible suspect here. But as you mentioned, and we have to report that he has never been charged with anything, and multiple detectives and investigators have said they checked his alibi and it was okay, and there was he didn't do this, and there's no way he did this.
but all it takes is one juror to agree or have some sort of reasonable doubt based off the defense's argument, and then Edric Faust could have a mistrial or be found not guilty.
It makes sense why a lot of people are following this or streaming along with us on Fox Local as we're streaming it live. What's another story people are clicking on right now?
So this one story that is getting a lot of traction right now is a follow-up to a story we've been following for a year. This week actually marks 1 year since 30-year-old Adriana Smith became brain dead. She didn't officially pass away until June, but Adriana Smith was a 30-year-old mother. She was pronounced brain dead while pregnant. She was 2 months pregnant at the time, and her case kind of sparked debate within Georgia, but also a national debate because due to Georgia's abortion law, she couldn't be taken off the ventilator since she was pregnant. So her family kind of had to mourn her for almost 6 months while they waited for her to give birth. She gave birth. The baby is supposed to be doing okay, but there's a legal battle still going on since Smith was not married to the baby's biological father. They are going through some stuff with that. But now Smith's mom wants to honor her, so she said the Adriana Smith Foundation is putting up billboards across Atlanta, so that way it keeps her legacy alive.
You got to understand from the family's perspective wanting to do that. And so what is another story we're watching and that's trending on all of our apps and our different social media platforms? And I think it has to do with a plane and someone getting on the wrong plane.
Yes, and I pulled this story just for you, Tyler, because our 1 p.m. producer, Marcy, actually likes to call you TSA Tyler since you love transportation so much. This is about a real-life Home Alone 2, except she was an adult. This passenger got on the wrong flight. She was flying United. She was supposed to be going from Los Angeles to Houston, Houston to Nicaragua. But somehow, and nobody has said exactly how yet, she got on the wrong flight. Halfway through her flight from Los Angeles to Houston, she thought to herself, it's weird that this flight is taking 6 hours. So she went and talked to a flight attendant. Turns out she got on a flight to Tokyo. So she was going all the way to the opposite end of the world, got there, had to spend 2 nights while United worked with her to get her travel set up so she could get to where she was supposed to be. And it ended up being, I guess, a decent trip, but one she was not expecting.
I have lots of questions about this. I mean, first of all, how many failures could there have been with an airline to allow someone who didn't have a boarding pass for a flight to Tokyo, let alone the fact, did she even have a passport on her? Because I'm sure Tokyo and Japan weren't thrilled to have someone who they weren't aware of, who has no passport possibly. I mean, also,
so
flight
luckily
attendants
she did
make
have
announcements.
a passport because she was headed to Nicaragua.
Okay,
so she did have a passport, which helped out because, you know, there have been stories, even last year, there were stowaways on international planes that didn't have passports, and that's a whole nother scenario that I couldn't even imagine. She did have one, though, and she was able to kind of get out of the airport and go to a hotel, but the airline issued a statement, and in short, it said that they told customers to always monitor the signs and gate boarding announcements. So I don't know if she accidentally just walked in the wrong gate, but at that point, why didn't the ticket let her in? Why didn't it bounce back?
Wild. I mean, there are flight attendants on board who are saying, welcome aboard X airline for a nonstop flight to insert location here. That is wild. I hope she enjoyed her trip to Japan. That was probably a lot cheaper than what she paid for to go to Nicaragua. So
maybe you could do some investigative journalism and try and get on the wrong flight. Yeah. I don't know if you could face laws, any arrest for that, but give it a try and see.
If you're sneaking on, you can certainly face arrest. Sam Daniel, thank you so much for a look at the stories that are trending on Fox 5 Atlanta and Fox Local right now. We do appreciate your time. As we come back here into our newsroom and studio here for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock, there is a new artistic director, and it's a new era for the legendary Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. But Atlanta audiences can expect the same powerful and passionate storytelling, so that's some good news, as the company returns to the Fox Theater this week. Here's more from Fox 5's Paul Milliken.
Hey everybody from Midtown Atlanta. Behind me, of course, is the incredible Fox Theater. And we spend a lot of time at the Fox Theater, but you know we had to make a return visit for Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. It is a tradition here in Atlanta, but this is a really special year. This is the first tour for the company under the leadership of a brand new artistic director. Her name is Alicia Graf-Mack, and it was really an honor to have her come hang out with us this morning and chat live on Good Day Atlanta. And we talked about the incredible history of the company and her history with the company, and of course her vision for its future. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. You are no stranger to Ailey. You, in fact, I think were brought into the company by Judith Jamison. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So when was that? And tell me a little bit about your journey with the company.
Yes, I joined the company in 2005 under the direction of Judith Jamison, which was a dream come true.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up idolizing her.
Yeah.
So to be able to step into the Ailey company under her direction was nothing short of a dream, a miracle, really.
Yeah.
I spent 6 years with the company under her direction and under the direction of Robert Battle.
Yep.
So I've sort of lived the legacy through its leaders. And of course, I've never met Alvin Ailey, but I feel like I know him from doing his works and really embodying his vision so intimately.
Yeah. Okay. So when you joined the company back then, did you, in your wildest dreams, ever think that one day you would be the artistic director?
Never. Never. You know, my first dream was to be a dancer, and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater allowed me to fulfill that, you know, kind of North Star big dream. And so now coming into this position feels like icing on the cake. It's a great responsibility to hold in my hands, but it's something that I feel called to do and that I am enjoying every step of the way.
Well, certainly you know Atlanta well, because as part of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, you have danced on that stage. What does it mean to be here in Atlanta?
Atlanta, hands down, has the best audience.
Yes, we love to hear that.
They spend the evening or the matinee performance with us. We can feel their energy. We love to hear our audience's reaction to what we're doing. It really fuels us, and it reminds us that we're a part of a community, that there are people out there that want to come to Ailey to feel inspired.
Yeah, that was such a cool interview. Okay, so Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is back in Atlanta starting tonight, with performances continuing through Sunday, February 15th. So reporting in Midtown, in front of the Fox Theater, Paul Milliken for Fox Local.
Paul, thanks so much for a look inside. It was great to see that, and hopefully they have a great audience joining them over the next several days for the new era that they're going to be showing off at the Fox Theater this weekend. Paul, thank you so much. Coming up, a live report from Chris Rosenthal. He is at PBS Aerospace in Roswell, because we know how big of a deal aerospace is for our state. We're going to get a live report just ahead. Stay with us. Fox 5 News Live at 1 continues after this. back. Thanks so much for joining us and continuing to join us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. I want to get out to Roswell. That's because we're talking about aerospace. It's Georgia's #1 export. And get this, state numbers show that $12.6 billion were brought in 2024 alone, and it generates $57.5 billion in economic impact in our state each year. That's huge. Chris Rosenthal is getting a look inside PBS Aerospace in Roswell. They just moved here, I understand. Show us around. Let us know what's going on and how important this is.
Yeah, absolutely. PBS Aerospace, one of the 800 aerospace companies here in the state of Georgia. They actually originated about 200 years ago in Czech Republic, and now they have come here to Roswell, seeing that opportunity for aerospace here in the state of Georgia. What do? They make engines that are used in UAVs, on the battlefield, being used right now, actually. Some of the engines are really small, little 8-pound engines, but very precise, very technical devices. They started here about a year ago with 4 employees. They've grown to 55 and are looking to grow even more by the end of the year. But I talked a little earlier today with Katrina Singletary with PBS Aerospace about why Roswell and what do they do here.
It's a fun story. The city of Roswell actually got to be a part of that team prior to my time at PBS. The city of Roswell sent a team out to start recruiting mid-cap companies, and really we focused in on the aerospace. We found a company that we knew was going to expand in the U.S., and we promised that we would let them go very fast. Mach speed. If you choose Roswell, we'll get you open in 6 months, and that's exactly what the city did, and that's exactly why we landed here.
Mach speed, yep. Literally and figuratively, landing quite literally and figuratively. Speaking of Mach speed, let's talk about what you guys do. This is some of what you guys manufacture, huh?
Absolutely. So this is our TJ40 G2. He is 8 pounds. He has 100 pounds of thrust. Goes as fast as a commercial airline and upwards to 500 miles. So that is some serious power and packed in a very small jet engine. We also make the 80s here as well. Eventually, we'll be manufacturing all of them. 99% of the parts come from the U.S. and 80% from Georgia. So we're really a big part of the Georgia ecosystem now.
And when you say jet engine, what will this be used? Will this be used jets or what?
These
devices?
primarily go in UAVs, so that's unmanned aerial vehicles. So think drones and interceptors, things that would maybe a Golden Dome, something that would be using the Golden Dome to protect the United States. These eventually all end up in the hands of the Department of Defense.
Gotcha. So these are like these keep us safe.
Exactly.
Keep other countries
safe. We give the defense sector the ability to be very innovative because they don't have to worry about powering it. We will power it.
Are we both on this one?
No. Expand and grow to about 100 technicians or so, or 100 employees by the end of the year. Back to you, Tyler.
Chris Rosenthal, thank you so much for that, and obviously very interesting. It's obviously great that they're able to do something like this and have this type of industry in our area. I appreciate the behind-the-scenes look. We'll be checking with you over the course of the next several hours for Fox Local. And I want to bring in my good friend, Chris Rosenthal. We just spoke to Chris Rosenthal. Now, I get to talk to Tom Haynes.
We do kind of look alike, me and Chris Rosenthal, right? I mean, can you see the resemblance? Tyler,
I don't know if I'll get in trouble or what I'm going to say. So we're just
hold your thought, all right? Zip it.
Let's look what's coming up on the Pulse.
So we got the Pulse tonight at 7 o'clock, which, by the way, streams right here on Fox Local and airs on Fox 5 Atlanta. Tonight, you're a Gen Zer, right, Tyler?
No.
I think you would officially qualify as a Gen Zer.
I do not.
Or are you out of that bubble? Okay, you're a millennial.
Yep.
All right. Well, apparently Gen Z is kind of tired of the old Valentine's Day traditions.
They're tired of everything.
They're tired of everything, and now Valentine's Day is on the target.
Okay.
They want to throw out the norms. They want to do something new. They want to take Valentine's Day and make it something that they would have fun with. So we're going to discuss tonight if you like Valentine's Day the way it has been, or do you want to be like a Gen Zer and try something different? We talk about all kinds of crazy things on the Pulse tonight. It's all about Valentine's Day.
And share your thoughts at fox5atlanta.com/pulse. And we do appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you joining us here for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. You're going to be back at 3 o'clock. Ariel Onstadt will be here at 2. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're back in 2 minutes with Ariel Onstadt for Fox 5 News Live at 2.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for streaming with me here live in your 2 o'clock hour on your Wednesday afternoon. It is great to have you here. We've got a lot of things to get to, and one of the first stories I want to start with deals with a continuing update that, as we follow the developing story of the elections warrant here in the state of Georgia, and our Deidre Dukes is following up on the latest. And Deidre, I understand a state lawmaker is now calling for the state of Georgia to take over Fulton County elections. What's going on here?
That's right. A Republican Senator, Greg Dolezal, making those remarks today as he talked to reporters in response to the unsealing of that warrant on yesterday. Of course, the FBI raid last month at the Fulton County Elections Hub, grabbing national headlines as hundreds of boxes of documents, ballots from the 2020 presidential election were seized by the FBI as part of that FBI DOJ investigation. Now, just today, Republican Senator Greg Dolezal saying that the unsealing of that warrant did in effect show that there were a lot of issues with Fulton County's elections, and so he does believe that it's time for the state to get involved and to take over. But we also heard from Democratic lawmakers today. They blasted what they saw, the information that was used to justify that warrant that gave the federal government the right to go in and take those documents. Democrats saying that what they saw contained in that warrant was nothing but old news, things that they say were investigated time and time again since 2020, and again saying that there was no evidence of fraud in the 2020 election here in Georgia. Here's what those Democratic lawmakers had to tell us.
There's a lot of information that we've already known to be true, but it's interesting seeing it confirmed by the FBI. So we saw confirmed by the FBI's double scan ballots in Fulton County, missing ballot images in Fulton County, essentially the continued confirmation that the election in 2020 in Fulton County was a mess. What has us concerned moving forward is the voter rolls in Fulton County continue to be a mess. And it's my personal opinion, it's past time for the state to take over Fulton County elections until they prove that they're capable of adjudicating our elections.
Of course, that was Senator Greg Dolezal, Republican Senator Greg Dolezal, explaining why, in fact, he does believe that it's time for the state to take over the elections board here in Fulton County and carry out Fulton County elections to oversee them. Let's hear from Democrats as to their reaction to what they found in those warrants yesterday.
This is about voter intimidation. This is about casting doubt on the biggest county in Georgia that just so happens to be blue. This is about taking control over state elections by the federal government simply because a person cannot accept that they lost. And that is the concern. We want voters to feel confident in our elections. We want people to not be intimidated when they go to the polls. We don't want citizens, no matter who they vote for, to have a fear that because they exercise their sacred private right to vote, that the government's going to come in and pull those ballots and engage in some retaliatory behavior. All of those things could have the effect of suppressing the vote, which is why you see so many folks asking questions about this really egregious, I would say, use of the search warrant process.
So as you can see, just as in Fulton County, there are strong emotions here on both sides here at the state capitol. Republicans and Democrats with very different arguments and opinions as to this latest move by the federal government in regards to Fulton County elections and what should be the outcome there after reviewing that affidavit yesterday. Ariel.
Deidre, this is such an interesting process to watch play out, and we all knew when we saw the FBI going there to the elections facility that there were going to be a lot of chapters as this unfolds. I'm curious, what would elections being taken over by the state look like? And it sounds like Democrats are concerned this could set a larger precedent for the federal government to then come in, or do they also worry that it wouldn't be just Fulton County but other counties that the state would take over as well? Just trying to understand maybe a little bit more about what that looks like.
Yeah, well, as our Democratic lawmakers here at the state capitol and also Fulton County legislators, or excuse me, Fulton County leaders are saying is that Fulton County is, I guess you could say, ground zero when it comes to the arguments being made and the legal challenges being made by the Trump administration and those who support his efforts to investigate and challenge even now the 2020 election. And what those Democrats are saying is that Fulton County, being the largest county here in Georgia, that if Republicans were to, because the state elections board, I do want to say, is a Republican controlled board. It's a Republican majority board, and you've got 3 Trump supporters on that board. And so just by what we've seen over the past year or so, and also what we're hearing here on the part of some Republicans, there is concern among Democrats that if in fact the state board takes over, that would lead to a Democratic stronghold of Fulton County, a Democratic county, really being controlled by Republicans, and then seeing that move to a Republican-controlled county, the vote swinging Republican, the county swinging Republican, which they say would have a significant impact on elections. And then also Democrats are saying that it's about more than Fulton County and the state of Georgia, and that if the Trump administration succeeds here in controlling and actually in getting the challenge, successfully challenging the 2020 election, that we might expect that we'll see similar action taken in other states where he in fact lost the election. And they say this is not simply about the 2020 election, but it's about the midterms coming up, about the elections that we're going to see here in 2026 and Republicans' efforts to control the outcome of those elections.
Deidre, no doubt you're going to keep us updated as this progresses. Very, very interesting situation. I know that whatever happens, we're looking at new precedents being set either way. So I appreciate your reporting and your hard work on this. Thank you for keeping us updated. We'll continue to follow it. Okay, guys, we're going to move on here as we continue. I want to let you know about the latest regarding a situation that unfolded today in El Paso. So let me update on what we're learning with this, because it's really unique in the sense that the AP just pushed a news alert, and you're taking a live look, or actually a look at some video there of the El Paso airport after their airspace just reopened. But we're learning a little bit more about what unfolded earlier today. And I want to let you know that the AP is updating. According to 3 sources that were very familiar with the situation but were granted anonymity to share sensitive details, the Associated Press is reporting that this sudden and surprising airspace closure over El Paso, Texas, stemmed from a dispute between the Pentagon and the Federal Aviation Administration. According to the Associated Press, the Pentagon planned to test a laser in use for shooting down drones used by Mexican drug cartels, and that caused friction with the FAA, who wanted to ensure commercial air safety, and the 2 agencies sought to coordinate. However, despite a meeting scheduled later this month to discuss the issue, the Associated Press is reporting the Pentagon went ahead and wanted to test that laser system, prompting the FAA to shutter the airspace there in El Paso, Texas. It's not clear whether the laser was ultimately deployed. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said earlier in a response that this was an incursion by a Mexican cartel drones, and that led to the airspace closure, and that the threat had been neutralized. But the Associated Press is reporting, according to 3 anonymous sources, that the FAA actually closed the airspace because the Pentagon was going to test a laser program, and they feared for the safety of commercial airlines. So definitely something we're going to continue to keep you updated on as we learn new information about this. But here closer to home, I want to get a check of another local story. It looks like we have our Eric Perry ready to go, and I want to check in with him because we're learning a little bit more about a family who lost their home in East Atlanta. And Eric looks like he's standing by, but it also, I'm looking over here and it looks like his shop might be frozen. So we're going to check back in with Eric in just a little bit. I can see him standing by, and as soon as we get his shot, we're going to check in and see what is going on with him. But I want to continue to keep you updated on some stories we're following in our newsroom. So speaking of a little closer to home, this is something that our Angelique Proctor was following today. And if she has time later, I'd like to get her in for a live discussion on what happened here at this elementary school, Palmetto Elementary School. In case you are unfamiliar with this story, absolutely heartbreaking and really scary for a lot of people involved. A murder suspect was actually captured in Middle Georgia after a chase. And I want to back up and tell you how this all started, because a woman was shot and killed just outside Palmetto Elementary Tuesday. That was yesterday. And the man you see here on your screen, Christopher Attis, was later arrested in Houston County after a high-speed chase and crash. Now, in Houston County, we're learning a little bit more about how that went down. The Houston County Sheriff's Office began a brief chase in the area of Russell Parkway and Highway 41. And Houston County Sheriff Matt Moulton told us here at Fox 5 that the suspected gunman crashed his vehicle, and that is what ultimately ended that pursuit. The sheriff identified him as Christopher Loris Attis. He's 39 years old and was booked on charges of reckless driving, fleeing or attempting to elude police, and cruelty to children in the second degree. He also faces charges out of Warner Robins in addition to his pending Fulton County charges. But hours earlier, a hard lockdown was issued after reports of shots being fired in front of Palmetto Elementary School. Multiple agencies swarmed the area just after 11 a.m. yesterday, and that's where officers found the body of an unidentified woman. No students were involved, and investigators say the gunman fled the scene. More than 550 students inside were moved to Bear Creek Middle School and eventually dismissed for the day. So truly a scary situation for a lot of people involved. You know, 11 a.m. is the height of the busy day where students might be going to lunch or switching class periods. So this is something we're going to continue to follow up on. As soon as we get an update from our Angelique Proctor, we'll bring her in live and let you know what she is finding out, a little bit more about the victim in this case, as well as how this situation may have unfolded outside of the elementary school. So we're going to keep you updated there. In the meantime, let's move to some headlines that we're following here nationally, because lawmakers are asking a lot of questions on Capitol Hill today, and some of those center around the release of the Epstein files. And I want to tell you where we stand with this situation, because lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have had questions about how the Department of Justice has released the Epstein files. An administration official actually testified on Capitol Hill about why he's mentioned in these documents, and that would be Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He defended himself in a Senate hearing yesterday where he downplayed his ties to Jeffrey Epstein after a revelation showed there in the files that he had had at least 2 meetings with him after Epstein's 2008 conviction on prostitution charges. And Lutnick had said in that hearing that they had lunch on the island, and for about an hour that was true. But his testimony comes a day after Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, repeatedly pled the fifth in a deposition. That happened Monday. Her attorney indicated she could talk if her 20-year prison sentence were to come to an end. Basically, Ghislaine Maxwell has said, you want to know what I know? I need a full pardon from President Trump. The White House has denied rumors that President Trump would offer her a pardon. In the meantime, lawmakers are accusing the Justice Department of making inappropriate redactions. We know that Monday this week was the first day that lawmakers could see the unredacted versions of the more than 3 million pages of files that have been released. Nearly 2 months have passed since that deadline was set by Congress for the Justice Department to release all of its files. So far, the Justice Department has published about half of the Epstein files, and we know that lawmakers and the public continue to push for the full release. As we look at this, lawmakers on Capitol Hill today have been questioning Attorney General Pam Bondi about those redactions. You know, some of the things that lawmakers have said were inappropriate is that images of victims have been published and some names of victims have gotten out. However, redactions, they allege, of rich and powerful men, and others who are named in the files have been protected. So that is something that happened on Capitol Hill today. Attorney General Pam Bondi continues to testify before the Judiciary Committee in the House, and they've asked her about a wide range of issues from immigration enforcement to the Epstein files. At times, the hearing grew heated. I'd like to let you take a listen to a short version of their remarks.
I want to start by asking that out of respect for the American public and the Epstein survivors, some of whom, of course, are here today, that we can have a transparent conversation and get the public the answers they deserve. I want to briefly direct your attention to two documents I'm hoping we will put up on the screen. In the first, an individual emails Jeffrey Epstein asking whether a woman identified as M was pro or civilian, and Epstein responds that she was a civilian, Russian, and fun. In the second email, Epstein writes to Steve Tisch about a Ukrainian girl, noting that she was, quote, a little freaked out by the age difference and stating that he would try to convince her not to return to Ukraine. He then instructs Mr. Tisch to call him, adding, I don't like records of these conversations. So I'd like to ask a straightforward question that really is either a yes or no answer. Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence warning further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Do you think yes or no?
I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you, but I will answer the question to the best of my ability. As I said, we will look and investigate any case involving any victim. I'm not familiar, there were 3 million pages, of course, with that email, but of course we will look into anything. The documents have been released, 3 million, the redacted versions, we left them open for all of you to come view. I believe you view them. If not, will you have some copies?
I'd like to.
But could I finish, please? I'm not being rude, please.
I only have 5 minutes.
No, yeah, and I only have 30 seconds based on your filibustering.
You didn't.
So you're listening to a little bit of the exchange between Pam Bondi and representatives there in the House Judiciary Committee. This is just one of the many exchanges as they continue to push her about the redactions and how to view those files. Pam Bondi did push back, saying that they were for computers there inside of the room to be able to view the files, and asked if lawmakers had any trouble accessing them. This is a story we're going to continue to keep you updated on. I can see over to my right that at this time the House Judiciary Committee is continuing its questioning of Pam Bondi, and if anything changes, I hear anything new, I'll be sure to bring it to you here live. But in the meantime, I'd like to go a little closer to home because it looks like Eric Perry might be here with us, and I want to check in with him and see what the latest situation is on this fire that destroyed a family's home in East Atlanta. So, Eric, it's great to see you. What's the latest situation here? Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, so 3 people were inside this home. You can see the damage behind me here. This is close to East Atlanta Villages in Southeast Atlanta. Happened Sunday. 2 kids, one of them 11 years old or 12 years old, the other one 9 years old. Inside that home, an older cousin was in the back of the home. Well, that 12-year-old little boy was able to get his sister out through a side window. Then he went back inside to alert the cousin, who was deeper inside the home and was asleep. Thankfully, all 3 of them were able to make it out okay. Today, we talked with his mother. They've lost everything. This home had been in the family for years, as it was her grandmother's home. She grew up in this home, and now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next. You think the fire started?
I think the fire started approximately in this area. It's a plug that would have set behind this window. That's where everything sparked at. This would be the window where my son got him and his sister out. Dario went back through the window because he said when Travis came through the door, it exploded. It was a gas blower or a lawnmower or something on the porch with gasoline that exploded as soon as he opened the door. So my son, he was trying to lead him.
Yeah, so investigators are still working to just pinpoint exactly where, but you can just see most of that damage right here in the front of that home. That's why they weren't able to come out through here. They had to go through the windows. We're breaking down one of the elements or something that they found that was able to be saved here from that fire. Thankfully, again, they're just grateful that no one was injured or hurt there. But when you join us at 4, we'll have more details on a special artifact from Grandma that was able to be saved here. But again, thankfully, all 3 of them are able to be okay. And we'll have more efforts on how you can help this family. We'll put it on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Ariel?
Yeah, Eric, that was going to be my first question is just, if someone's listening or watching this and they say, hey, I want to be able to help this family out, are there any ways to do that that you're aware of? But I understand you're probably still gathering some of that together.
Yeah, she actually just sent me some links there to help the family. So I'll work to put that on our website so people can just help this family because they were only able to have the clothes that were on their back when they were able to get out of this home.
Eric, thanks so much for joining us live, letting us know how we can get involved. Absolutely horrible, but just a testament to the love of family that they were able to help each other and get out of there safely. So thanks so much for joining us. Okay, guys, as we continue here at 2 o'clock, we've got a lot of other news to get to and want to check in with meteorologist Alex Forbes as to where we stand with your weather forecast. A little gloomy outside, a little foggy. We're going to check in with him on the temperatures and, of course, chances for rain coming up. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. As always, you can put your comments on things you're following in our YouTube or TikTok chats. Here on YouTube, I actually see Carol McDonald asking where I can see a replay of this entire interview. So, Carol, let me know what story you were talking about, the interview you were referring to, and we can direct you that way. In the meantime, Alex, it's a little gloomy outside, but the temperatures are really feeling like the groundhog was wrong.
Yes, they are indeed. Now, all jokes
jokes aside, I think the groundhog's going to end up being right, especially by the time we get towards the end of October. But if we could package up today and like shove it in the groundhog's face, I would have the opportunity to do that if I so choose. So
what are we looking at?
Yeah, so still raining in some spots. You were looking at a live look of Midtown and downtown there a second ago. You were missing the tops of the buildings. We still have some low cloud cover across a lot of spots. And even I ran out to lunch a few minutes ago and ran into a couple of raindrops between here and Kroger. So, zooming in, you see where we are in DeKalb County, seeing some showers. That's pushing towards the airport right now. And even some steadier stuff once you get down towards the Coweta County line right there along the Chattahoochee River. It's likely going to stay north of Noonan, but headed towards Fayetteville and Peachtree City in the next hour or so as that continues to press off towards the south and east. And as it does so, it is going to continue to just kind of fall apart as we work our way through the afternoon. So there's the cold front. Our winds have shifted directions. That means tomorrow morning it is going to be much colder than it was this morning, talking about 30. Several spots saw over an inch of rain up across the mountains. The metro, not so much. You see up near Amicalola Falls, parts of Gordon County into that's going to be Gilmer County saw a decent amount of rain. Meanwhile, the rest of the metro, most of us saw at least something, even if it was just a couple of drops. But we're going to have the opportunity to see more rain by the time we get to Sunday. 61 in Atlanta right now. How about Eatonton? 72. Field trip, anybody? We're coming your way, Putnam County. 53 in Canton, 57 in Gainesville, and 68 over in LaGrange at this hour. So the sun will come out maybe at some point this afternoon. For a lot of people it will. Where the clouds are really thick, maybe not. 52 tonight with clear skies. Only a 20% chance of rain for the remainder of the day. That is going to be up to 30 and 80% for Saturday and Sunday. We're going to take a closer look at the weekend here in a second. But first, notice that the temperatures, your high temperatures, well above the norms. 57 is about where we should be. The closest we're going to be to that is Sunday at 59. By and large, above average here through the next 7 days. Okay, here's the details on the weekend. I'm looking for late day showers on Valentine's Day. I expect the majority of the daytime hours to be dry on Saturday. For most of us, it's going to be after sunset where we start to see some rain move into northwest Georgia. And then Sunday, if you got outdoor plans, sorry. No, you don't. Here's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. 63 for Thursday, 62 Friday. There's the weekend we were just talking about, but it is a holiday weekend for many people across Metro Atlanta, with President's Day being Monday. So if you do have Monday off, it will be a lot nicer than Sunday, and you can enjoy the sunshine then.
So, yeah, that's, unfortunate for people who may be really looking to some makeup Valentine's Day plans on Sunday. But at the end of the day, I mean, Monday, pretty great day.
It is. And honestly, the Valentine's plans, if you want to be like 110% sure, shove them into Friday. Just pretend like it's Valentine's Day. Doesn't matter.
When it's on a weekend, I mean, any day is really.
It's
really
Valentine's
works.
weekend.
That's exactly right. Okay, Alex, really quickly, this does make me curious. How is this rain putting a dent in our drought? Is it at all?
Today is no.
Okay.
It's just not. The weekend will probably put a little bit of a nick. So if you think about a car accident, maybe just a fender bender, it's not going to total the car.
Okay, well, good to know.
Yep.
Alex, thank you so much. And you guys, thanks so much for being here with us. I have some news I want to get to coming up. I want to talk about the latest with President Trump's tariff war, and also the latest as President Trump meets with a host of world leaders today, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So we're going to talk about that and the latest on the search for Nancy Guthrie when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming here with us. I want to talk a little bit about where we stand with the latest in President Donald Trump's tariffs, because at this time, we're learning a little bit more about how the president plans to use these tariffs as it relates to Canada. At this point, the president is threatening to shut down a multi-billion-dollar bridge between the United States and Canada before it even opens. And I want to get into why, because the president is pushing the Canadian government ahead of trade talks by threatening to block the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge, which connects Detroit in Michigan to Windsor, Ontario. And the president wrote on social media, quote, "I will not allow this bridge to open until the United States is fully compensated for everything we have given them," end quote. And the president referenced an impending trade deal between Canada and China, which Trump opposes. But on Tuesday, the White House reframed the president's threat, saying it's all about leveling the playing field. For example, the president's trade representative, James Van Der Beek, says the United States needs to make sure that it has its fair share of any proceeds from that bridge and the economic activity that it generates. The president says both sides are going to enter into negotiations immediately, but it will be difficult to separate the bridge issue from the broader renegotiation of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal. That is expected later this year. The president says tariffs have put the U.S. in a good position ahead of the talks, but Democrats say that's not true, pointing out America's traditional trading partners are now signing new deals to pivot away from trade with the United States. And House Democrats are trying to force a vote on repealing Canada tariffs. The Republicans say they'll block it. So this is something we're going to continue to follow. But in the meantime, it looks like we have Amalia Roy ready to join us. So I want to check in and see where we stand, because we've learned major updates overnight in the search for Nancy Guthrie, including Pima County Sheriff's deputies detaining someone, I understand, Amalia, for questioning, but then releasing him hours later. So you're joining us live from Tucson. Where do we stand with this case?
Yes, good afternoon. It was a very active day yesterday going into last night, but it has been quiet throughout the day today. We know that the Pima County Sheriff's Department detained and questioned a man down in Rio Rico. That is a community about an hour south of Tucson. The man, he identified himself. His name is Carlos. He also had his house searched at that same time. He said he's not sure whether authorities took anything from his house. They did say they took his phone, but he was released. He says that he delivers packages in the Tucson area, but he said he wasn't sure what was going on and that he knows that he was not part of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
Did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure?
Nah, they just came up. They until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly looked like my eyes.
Carlos said investigators took his phone, as I said, and that they also searched his property. Meanwhile, this happened at the same time that it feels like this investigation is ramping up since that video was released. The FBI releasing video and stills from doorbell camera video from Nancy Guthrie's doorstep the night that she went missing. In that video, there is a person who walks up armed with a mask on and with gloves. At one point, you can see him trying to cover the camera, first with his hand and then with branches that they find from Nancy's front yard. FBI Director Kash Patel says that it took time to recover this video, initially thinking it was lost, corrupted, or inaccessible. A retired FBI investigator told Fox it is incredible that they were able to recover it.
Yeah, Amalia, it really is. And, you know, this is because we have had so many new details in just the past 24 hours. I want to be clear that police still have not spoken or found that man on that video camera. They're still looking for that person, right?
The FBI, the Pima County Sheriff's Department, they have not identified a suspect or persons of interest. FBI Director Kash Patel yesterday said at this point they do have multiple persons of interest, but this is still a huge breakthrough in this investigation because for 9-10 days it was nothing. It was every day looking for a little bit of information. The conversation about surveillance video and accessing it has been ongoing, so actually seeing it and getting that first glimpse into this possible suspect has definitely got people's attention yesterday.
Yeah. Amalia, in the final minute or so I have with you, can you tell us anything about this alleged note that TMZ got? I understand that, you know, in the beginning they got a couple of notes from an alleged ransomer, potentially, and now it sounds like they've gotten yet another note.
We know that TMZ has come out saying that they do have another note, but as of right now, it is important to remember that the FBI, the Pima County Sheriff's Department, they have not given credibility to any of these ransom notes. We do know that people have been following deadlines in the previous note that was sent to different media outlets, but so far, the FBI has not indicated that there's been any communication between the Guthrie family and any ransomer or the author of these notes, and that they have not given credibility to them.
Amalia, thank you so much for that clarification. I think with so much information and everything going on, it's really important that we're able to understand what is confirmed in this case and what isn't. So I appreciate your hard work reporting. Thank you so much for joining us live, and we'll continue to stay tuned to you for the latest. I appreciate your time this afternoon. Okay, guys, let's continue to move on here. We're going to switch gears a little bit because at this point, I want to move closer to Georgia and talk about some news that affects our state. One of the things that we have looked at involves a crisis line, Georgia's suicide crisis line specifically, and how it's revealing gaps in coverage. And one thing that we do every Wednesday is bring in Health Beat reporter Rebecca Grapevine to talk a little bit more about some of these health stories and how they affect us. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for being here. I know you've done important reporting and important work on this story. Tell me a little bit about 988 for those who are unfamiliar. And is this the only mental health hotline that Georgia has?
Right. No, Georgia has had a mental health crisis line since way back in the 2000s, but there was an effort more recently to stand up a number similar to 911. It's called 988. You may have seen ads for it around town, and people anywhere in the country, including Georgia, can call that line and be connected with local counselors if they're having substance abuse, suicidal thoughts, any kind of mental or behavioral health issue. So it's supposed to be like a 911. And what a great idea.
Yeah, I understand that this obviously is born out of a great need, and it's wonderful that our state has it. What happened last year? So, you know, I understand that you have done reporting on gaps that have come in potentially with this hotline. What are you finding?
Right. So there were some changes internally with the contractor who runs this line, switching up some of their systems almost a year ago. And there started to be some declines in performance, both in the amount of time folks had to wait to have their calls answered, and also in the number of calls that got sent to a national backup center, which is still a good thing. But the counselors at that national center don't necessarily have all the Georgia resources at their fingertips. So we found out about this, we did some reporting about it, and we learned that the state agency behind it, the Department of Behavioral and Developmental Disabilities, has also been looking into this and trying to get performance back up to snuff.
So I'm curious, you know, with this, I'd imagine you spoke to a woman from Cartersville, Georgia, who credits this hotline with really saving her life. And it's so wonderful to see and hear about that. So what are we doing from a state level to try to fix some of these problems? Are leaders aware of this?
Leaders are definitely aware of this, and they've reached out to the company. They've even fined them some, penalties for not meeting performance standards in the contract, I've learned recently. So they are working on getting the numbers back up. because state leaders, know that mental health is a problem for Georgians, and especially for rural Georgians who may not have other mental health resources, nearby. This number 988 is a crucial lifeline for folks. They can even send out a mobile crisis response team. So if the situation's getting really dangerous, they have everything from talking somebody through, their moment of need all the way up to potentially sending out a team to help on the ground in person. So they know that it's really important and they're working on it, but it's taking some time to turn these declines around.
Yeah. Rebecca, I always appreciate our conversations. As kind of a final thought here, want to reiterate for anyone who's watching or who may be unfamiliar, 988 is still operating, and you can call it for mental substance abuse help. If you are feeling suicidal, it's important to know that that resource exists.
Absolutely. It's a great resource despite some of the bumps in the road.
Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us live. And as always, thank you for your reporting here in Georgia. We appreciate it. Guys, we're going to move on here because coming up, we're going to go take you to Roswell, where we're going to check in on Georgia's #1 export, which you may not realize is actually aerospace. I know we've talked about it before. And in case you're unfamiliar, Chris Rosenthal has really been the guru in educating us both times around. So we're going to check in with him coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with us. I'm going to take you out to Roswell, where our Chris Rosenthal joins us live. And Chris, you've talked a lot about how aerospace is Georgia's #1 export. This is according to the Georgia Department of Economic Development, something I didn't realize until you told me about it the first time around. So tell me about this company and Roswell and what they're doing to contribute to Georgia's #1 export.
Yeah, #1 export, just to give you a number here, a big number, $12 billion in 2014. That's coming from the Georgia Department of Economic Development. So, big number, and 800 or so companies here in Georgia in the aerospace industry. And one of them is PBS Aerospace, and they're here in Roswell, new to Roswell, actually, big growing company. And I'm joined by Katrina here with PBS. And
Hey,
Katrina,
Chris.
first of all, tell me, what is PBS?
Oh, thanks for asking. PBS is a manufacturer of small jet turbine engines. We make some of the best in the world. Some of them are right here. We assemble them here in Roswell, Georgia. 80% of the parts come from Georgia, the state of Georgia, and 99% from the United States.
And this is a company, a 200-year-old company from Czech Republic. How did you guys end up here in Roswell?
Yeah, great question. We actually, the state of Georgia and the city of Roswell sent out a team to recruit PBS into the United States and hopefully land in the state of Georgia, which they chose Roswell because the city of Roswell made them a promise to go very fast, Mach speed, if you will, for permitting. So they promised that they could get them open and running in 6 months, and they kept their promise. So they chose Roswell because of those promises.
You're open and running, and you're growing as we speak, huh?
That's right. We moved into 20,000 square feet in September, cut the ribbon, and we are now expanding an additional 10,000 square feet behind the next wall over to build as many engines as we can this year.
That means more jobs, too.
That's right.
Speaking of engines, I mean, this guy, cute, but this is serious business. Tell me about these and how are they used?
Yeah, so this is our TJ40. He is 8 pounds. He has 100 pounds of thrust. This guy goes as fast as the commercial airline that you fly on and can go upwards to 500 miles away. These are very reliable and they power any application in defense. So think drones, UAVs, interceptors, anything that would protect us like a Golden Wall type application.
These things are on the battlefield now out there.
Yes.
So, and you guys are testing. This is really cool. We got a kind of a sneak peek of this area here.
We brought in these, we kind of designed these testing facilities to be brought into Roswell. They're completely soundproof, really safe, and every single engine that we build is tested for about 30 minutes before it goes out the door to make certain that we have 100% mission accuracy, right? We can't have anything fail out on the field. So this is our TJ40. It just finished a test. And over here we have a TJ80. Like I said, they all get tested. We make certain that they turn on every time. These are the most reliable machines right now out on the field.
Very, very accurate tolerances here when you build things like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the name of the game is precision manufacturing. Every single piece in our engines are precise down to 1/25th of a human hair. We cannot be off or the vibrations will be off and it will fail its testing.
And you guys got a lot of help to get started because you guys are building fast with Georgia Tech here locally, huh?
Yes, they helped us go very fast. As we were building out this space and designing these two testing facilities, they allowed us to use their testing facility to test our engines as we were training our techs and building the engines and building out this space. So, and we are also developing new technology in partnership with Lockheed Martin with them as well.
Yeah, another local company here.
Yes.
All in our backyard here in Georgia. We were kind of touching on it earlier. This means jobs. Talk to me about the job growth and what's ahead.
Yeah, so in January of last year, we had 4 employees. Today, we have 55. By the end of the year, we'll be at 100. And hopefully by next year, we'll be at 150. And if the company decides to plant our new headquarters here in Georgia, which is the hope, then that will be an additional 300 jobs. We've got to get to 20,000 engines a year, which is a big hill to climb.
People may be watching this at home saying, that's really cool. I'd love to get a job in this field or at this place. I mean, what kind of jobs are you looking for?
You can go to our website, pbsaerospace.com, and we are always looking for technicians, engineers, planners. We have the gamut in aerospace. So go there. All the information's there.
Awesome. And a growing company, growing industry. Means a lot here to Georgia. Absolutely. So, yeah, Ariel, this is, again, over here in Roswell, bringing aerospace to Georgia. One of the 800 companies part of that, the #1 export.
Incredible, Chris. I think we take for granted how many companies and businesses really are here in Georgia, and even just concentrated in Metro Atlanta alone. There's so many companies doing things that I think we're not even aware of. So this is really cool to have a tour and to understand what they're doing. So thanks so much for joining us and bringing this to our attention. I appreciate it, Chris. Okay, guys, as we continue here, we're going to check in with our.
Oh my gosh, I screwed up.
Victor. We're going to continue to check in with our Victor Prieto in just a little bit about. Oh, it looks like Victor's ready. I see him over to our right. He is sitting in the stands for Brave spring training down in Florida. Victor, great to see your smile. Great to see you joining us. Catch us up to speed. What's going on with the Braves today?
Yeah, it's spring training day 2 over here at Coweta Park down in Northport, Florida. You see I'm in the stands. I'll give you the turn right here. They're getting the field kind of ready. Spring training was this morning, so getting everything ready for tomorrow morning. But a really nice view down here in Northport, Florida. The beautiful Coweta Park where we got Brave spring training day 2. Pitchers and catchers reported on Monday, so they are required to be here. Hitters, they don't have to get here till later this week. However, I would say a majority of the Braves hitters and just team in general, they're here in Northport today. They all practice. We saw Ronald Acuna Jr. We saw Matt Riley. We saw Matt Olson, Austin Riley. So many of the Braves hitters and players all returning here, getting ready for an MLB season.
Sure. So, Victor, I'm curious, what are some storylines you're really interested in with the Braves this season? I know last year we talked a lot about, some of the younger pitchers that were on the team, how some of the hitters had new kind of themes and, I guess, opportunities that were going to come their way. What are you looking at with the Braves as we head into this season?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said the younger pitchers because I think one of the main storylines for sure is health. Spencer Schwellenbach yesterday basically told us, and we spoke with him this morning, but they announced they put him on the 60-day IL. He lost most of last season. He got hurt in July. He fractured his elbow. They thought maybe he could come back last season. He ended up missing most of the year. He was recovering well, and he thought he was on track. Apparently 2 weeks ago, he was throwing regular bullpen, kind of ramping up, getting ready, and he hurt. He has bone spurs, so he's going to have arthroscopic surgery. Yeah, not good for the Braves rotation, who were injury-riddled for the last couple years. He will most likely miss at least the next couple months. There's a chance, really, he misses a lot of the season. There's no timetable set for his return, but next man up mentality for these guys. We talked with new manager Walt Weiss also today, and he basically said, look, it's terrible when things like this happen, but opportunity now arises for maybe some of these younger pitchers. Hurston Waldrop, one of the guys, a University of Florida grad that they drafted in the first round a couple years ago. He got some time last year in the majors towards the end of the season, had some really nice outings, had some really not so great outings. So it's one of those things where he might get thrust into the spotlight now.
Victor, I always appreciate chatting sports with you. I feel like you're going to have a great time there in Florida, and it's so neat to see what we're doing with the Braves to set ourselves up for success in the year ahead. I know we're going to check in with you again here at 3 o'clock, you and Justin on the field there. So, Victor, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us live. We could talk forever, but I'll let you get back to it. I'm sure you've got some players to chase around. So, Victor, thanks so much. Alrighty. Okay, guys, we're going to continue here. I want to get you an update on a story happening nationally really quickly, and that is the president set to meet with some world leaders today. Actually, President Trump is meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this afternoon. And as of just an hour or so ago, we knew that the Prime Minister had arrived in Washington, D.C. The two are largely expected to focus on Iran. President Trump is expected to increase pressure on the regime. And one thing that's really still here on the table is the United States intervening and this leading to some military action. There are reports now that the president might send a second aircraft carrier to the region. And this comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to meet with the president today to really push for that hard line with Iran. Iran says it's willing to talk about its nuclear program, but that's it. And after the president expressed widespread support for the protesters leaders in Iran. This is something that we've seen others like U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley push for more to be done. So this is something we're going to continue to monitor. It is the president's goal to see conflict end there in the region. But despite the weakness of the Iranian government, right now it's not clear that really much, if anything, is going to give there. So definitely a story we're going to continue to follow and keep you guys updated on. You're seeing some video there from some of those protests as they unfolded. But I want to continue and get a check. We're going to zoom out here. I'm going to hit the button to bring Tom Haynes in. So fast. Right? It just, boom, we made it happen. So, Tom, what are we looking at for 3 o'clock?
Well, we just got some sad news from Hollywood area with the passing of James Van Der Beek, only 48 years old, the Dawson's Creek star.
Yeah.
Passing away from cancer. Here are some images of Van Der Beek. Fought a valiant fight, according to family members, went peacefully, we understand, overnight, but at such a young age, colorectal cancer. James Van Der Beek.
Same with Catherine O'Hara. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, dead this afternoon. This news just crossing Dawson's Creek. And he was in one other program, I think, as well. Anyway, stage 3 colorectal cancer. He's had it since 2023. In November, he told People magazine he was forced to reveal his diagnosis after a tabloid was going to run with it, becoming an advocate, obviously, for colorectal screening, something everybody at around that age should absolutely have. So following that, plus we're going to get the very latest out of Coweta County. Our Doug Evans on top of another spectacular story out of there. Doug always gets these great stories from police because he has such great contacts that no one else has. Well, he has some great surveillance video. Apparently, a woman was accused of stealing a school bus from an elementary school there. She was caught in another county, and we're going to tell you how all of this went down. But imagine you take a school bus, you take it on a joyride, ditch it. We're going to find out all the circumstances.
I can't really imagine that.
Yeah, why a school bus?
All the things to take for a joyride.
You stick out like a sore thumb.
I have questions.
Anyway, of course, we're going to check in with the weather, too. It is Wednesday. We're getting over the hump of the work week, and now we're looking toward the weekend. At least one of the days this weekend, we're going to get some serious rain. So we're going to check in with Alex Forbes coming up.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to it, Tom. You guys, thanks for being here live with us. I'm Ariel Onstott. We got more coming your way at 3.
Good afternoon, everyone. So glad to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us for the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host for this hour, Tom Haynes. So happy you are with me this afternoon. Got a lot to catch you up on. It's a busy Wednesday afternoon of news, and we're going to stream it with you live here for the entire hour, so don't go anywhere. We're following breaking news right off the top, some sad news out of Hollywood, where we just got word that the actor James Van Der Beek has passed away. The Dawson's Creek star dying of colorectal cancer at the young age of 48 years old this afternoon. That just announced. His family saying, quote, he met his final days with courage, faith, and grace. That coming from his wife. There is much to share regarding his wishes, love for humanity, and the sacredness of time that will come out here. Early 2024, Van Der Beek announced that he had been diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer, which develops in the colon or the rectum. A lot of people, a lot of high-profile celebrity advocates come out advocating for colorectal cancer screening, getting colonoscopies, staying on top of that, because we see how vicious this disease can be. With the passing at 48 years old this afternoon of actor James Van Der Beek, who you know from the hit show Dawson's Creek. Boy, he was a huge celebrity back at the time, a teen heartthrob, if you will. So many people tuned into that show, and it looked like he was quite a family man. So what a devastating loss for Hollywood, Van Der Beek's wife, and his beloved family. Also, we want to bring you up to date this afternoon on the very latest after that fatal shooting yesterday at an elementary school, which we told you about right here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour, Fox Local. A man is now under arrest and facing charges of murder. Police say that Christopher Atis was taken into custody after a high-speed chase and crash in Houston County. No students were involved in the shooting yesterday, which, as I said, you saw unfold right here. This is Palmetto Elementary School in southwest Atlanta. It's just west of I-85, south of Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. That suspected gunman allegedly shot and killed the woman just yards away from the Fulton County Elementary School, prompting a hard lockdown. All right? So some very scary moments, not only for students and teachers inside the classroom there, but also parents who in the afternoon got word of this shooting, were there to pick up their students who had to be transferred to another school campus for that pickup. They were just extremely grateful that their kids were okay and that it didn't involve anybody inside the school. He was ultimately arrested, Atis was, in Middle Georgia. He was already a convicted felon, having served 10 years for armed robbery. No word on what might have led up to this shooting, this fatal shooting outside of Palmetto Elementary School in southwest Atlanta, but it's a story we'll continue to stay on top of for you. And as we learn more details as to the circumstances surrounding the incident, of course, we will bring it to you. Now to Clark Atlanta University, where a university police officer has been placed on administrative lockdown following an encounter with a student that school officials say exceeded appropriate boundaries. That is what we're hearing from Clark Atlanta this afternoon. Want to get you out to Annie Mapp, who is on the campus there on top of this story for us. Annie, sounds like something happened between this school officer and the student. What are you learning this afternoon?
Yes, Tom, as you mentioned, that officer is now on administrative leave. This situation happened Monday of last week when Sierra Morrison says she was walking to campus for an evening class but did not have her student ID when security asked for it. She says despite that, she continued to walk to class, and she says she wasn't asked to turn around, but minutes later an officer showed up to that classroom and placed her in handcuffs. Now I want you to take a look at this video video that has since gone viral, taken by one of Sierra's classmates. It shows parts of that interaction. You can see an officer at the door and Sierra with her hands behind her back. She claims the professor told the officer she was a student in the classroom, but despite that confirmation, she was taken to the campus police building where she says she was detained nearly 3 hours. Now, Clark Atlanta University President George T. French Jr. released a letter on the situation saying the student's refusal to show her ID interfered with campus access protocols and contributed to the escalation of the situation. However, he did share he is deeply concerned with how the officer entered the class and attempted to make the arrest. He says the action disrupted that classroom and exceeded appropriate boundaries. As a result, again, that officer is now on administrative leave.
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where unfortunately I know the situation. I know that the overuse of authority has, escalated situations that were never meant to be situations altogether. And in saying that, there needs to be change. There needs to be a change in policy.
Now, university officials say they are reviewing the incident along with campus safety protocols. We did reach out to the university to see if there is an update on the situation, but have not heard back as of yet. Tom.
So the officer, Annie, just reading your notes here, follows this student, according to what happened, into the classroom, and then this led to the escalation. Are campus police sort of weighing in on the circumstances surrounding this encounter? And what are the chances that this officer gets put back on the force? Is he just sort of on leave while this investigation pans itself out here?
It's not clear if the officer will just stay on administrative leave for a while or if he will be allowed to return. The university did say that they have realized that training is needed for officers and staff in situations like this to prevent a future disruption of the sort where you see police go into a classroom. I mean, this happened in front of a class full of students. You can see in that video the door was open. Even students who were in that classroom just started recording and were even asking police what was going on. The student told us that the professor again vouched for her, saying that she was a student, because again the concerns here were they didn't have any identification to prove that she was a student at the university or who she was, which the university says is a huge priority for them. I mean, they have signs and stuff up that reiterate the importance of carrying that ID around. But again, the student and other students we talked to on campus think the officer just took the situation too far.
Yeah, we like students to carry identification because it indicates to police who belongs on campus and who doesn't in this environment that we're in now, where campuses are sacred environments. We like for campus authorities to be able to carry out their duties in a responsible manner in the interest of students and faculty who are there. But it just seems like some of the details of this interaction, that there are a lot of questions surrounding it. So hopefully campus officials will be able to sort them out one way or the other. Annie Mapp reporting for us from the campus of Clark Atlanta University. Annie, thanks so much. Moving on now, there are concerns in Gwinnett County among a teachers union about the activities of ICE in that community. The Gwinnett County Association of Educators recently met with Sheriff Kybo Taylor to demand a moratorium on the involvement of ICE officers in that community, citing a surge in agents that has left thousands of classroom seats empty. That, according to the teachers union there. All right, the teachers union says that enrollment has already plummeted and students are scared because of a nationwide immigration crackdown. The association publicly urging the sheriff to halt all cooperation with ICE to help restore confidence in students. The teachers union is partially an advocacy group, all right, for their teachers and has political leanings. So you have to include a tinge of that in this meeting. So what the Gwinnett County Sheriff decides to do with the request of these teachers is ultimately up to him and how much he cooperates with ICE and how that manifests itself over the coming days and months. But obviously, this teachers' union has concerns about the activities of ICE agents as it relates to their students, and they brought that to the sheriff. All right, how the two sides reconcile this issue, we'll just have to wait and see. But following the meeting, the union said that it was pleased with how it went, adding that the sheriff has begun a productive dialogue with that teachers' union. We now know that the federal search warrant used to seize ballots in the Fulton County election interference case last month, we're getting details of that search and seizure. Court documents show the FBI interviewed numerous people who've questioned the legitimacy of the 2020 election. Investigators by the Georgia Secretary of State's office and numerous lawsuits surrounding those claims have repeatedly found no evidence of intentional wrongdoing, but FBI agents loaded roughly 700 boxes of election ballots and records into trucks during a criminal investigation into alleged voting irregularities of the Fulton County elections. In court documents unsealed on Tuesday, the FBI revealed that it is investigating whether intentional acts led to discrepancies in the count over 500,000 ballots in Georgia's most populous county. The probe focusing on potential violations of federal laws and governing the retention of election records and the undermining of a fair vote counting process, something Fulton County officials have denied any sort of wrongdoing on any level, and they're wondering what the heck is going on here. So it was interesting to see the unsealing of that search warrant and how this process will move forward. There was some legal wrangling inside the courtroom of a case that you guys have been very closely paying attention to. This is the Tara Baker murder trial. Our Tyler Fingert has been covering this for us every day this week. And Tyler, we understand that the back and forth in the courtroom this morning without the jury present involved DNA evidence, something that this whole case has really pinned itself on.
Yeah, Tom, good afternoon to you. That back and forth specifically had to do with a recorded interview between Edric Faust and GBI agents back in 2024. That's when this case obviously started picking up renewed scrutiny once they were able to start retesting some of this DNA evidence they had collected back in 2001. Today's testimony centered on the investigator who took over the case in 2024, more than 2 decades after Tara Baker was found dead inside her burned Athens apartment. Prosecutors played portions of the agent's interview with Faust after new DNA testing linked him to the case. In the interview, agents confronted Faust about his DNA and asked him to explain how it could be at the crime scene. According to the testimony, he could not provide an explanation. On cross-examination, the defense challenged the agent's wording, pointing out Faust's DNA was found on Baker's body, not elsewhere in the apartment, and questioned why arrest warrants were obtained before agents re-swabbed Faust for new DNA samples. Jurors also heard testimony about the original sexual assault kit, which was collected back in 2001. A GBI agent told the court that modern DNA testing linked 2 men to that evidence, Faust and Baker's then boyfriend, Chris Melton. The defense argues Melton's changing timeline over the years raises questions about his role in the case, but the GBI agent testified Melton had a verified alibi, saying it could not have been possible for him to have committed the murder. So we obviously want to make sure we mention that Melton has never been charged in this case. We continue to hear from different investigators over the course of today, and this is obviously a huge portion of where prosecutors are trying to wrap up their case. We've been seeing over the course of the last several days, since last week when this case got underway, Tom, we started hearing from Athens, Clark County investigators from back in 2001. And then we started transitioning to more recent things, like where we got to today. We heard from Chris Melton, who is was the boyfriend of Tara Baker. He testified on Monday. That testimony took much of the day. Obviously, that was important testimony for the jurors to hear because prosecutors say, and according to investigators, Melton did not play a role in the murder, saying he had an alibi and he could not have committed the murder, as we have been reporting. And again, he hasn't been charged with anything, but obviously the defense continued to try to paint him as someone with motive. So this is obviously a case that just continues to play out. And I can see off on the side of our screen right now, we have a big board of video monitors. I can see that it looks like another detective with the GBI, or agent with the GBI, continues her testimony at this hour. It's unclear when the state might rest their case. And
these are live pictures from inside
live
the
pictures.
courtroom.
So these are happening right now. This is one of the investigators. They're obviously looking like going through a report and being asked questions by, I believe, the defense right now. The prosecution clearly has already finished asking questions, and I believe this defense now cross-examining this witness. It's unclear how many more people the state plans to call. Tom, but it does sound like we are getting closer to the end of this case, considering we are reaching a point where we're finally getting to present day in terms of investigators and the DNA evidence that they had been testing.
Melton was questioned, in all fairness, in the beginning of this. As you say, he was ruled out as having any sort of involvement in the murder of Tara Baker. But it will be interesting, Tyler. I mean, this case is setting all kinds of interesting legal, I wouldn't use the word precedent because that is a legal term, but interesting sort of outlines of how DNA is used in proving a case to a jury without a scintilla of a doubt, all right? Because that's what the standard that the prosecution has to meet. And this case happened so long ago that will that DNA evidence convince this jury of Eric Faust's guilt?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously what they're going to have to look at. And I mean, obviously the jurors have the facts of the matter, where the DNA that they found on Baker's body. There were two samples. There was Chris Melton's and then also Edric Faust's. And that is going to be something they're going to have to weigh, whether they think there's a reasonable doubt that maybe Edric Faust did not actually commit this murder. That is going to be something that they're obviously going to have to weigh when they go back into the jury room once this case wraps up, where they're going to get the closing arguments and things like that. So we're going to have to monitor that. Obviously, it's the defense's job to put that reasonable doubt in there to clear his client's name in terms of this defense attorney. But prosecutors are adamant that they believe that Edric Faust is the person who did kill Tara Baker in 2001. So that's something that is going to be part of this jury deliberation, because obviously you have the defense who's saying Chris Melton, the boyfriend, he had motive. He's the one who did this. But you have the prosecutors and the investigators from the time saying he had an alibi. And clearly, I think it's safe to say, without any sort of concern, Chris Melton clearly was a person of interest at one point, because they're asking for his alibi. They're looking into him. But they said that they were able to clear him, and they believe that he is not the one who committed this. They believe that would be Edric Faust. And so now it's going to be up to the jury once they finish presenting their case.
If they don't convict Faust, where does this case go next? I mean, that's really the question, Tyler. Covering it for us. Tyler, thanks. I want to move on now to a case that's happening on Capitol Hill right now, and that is the discussion over the Jeffrey Epstein files. This has been happening for quite some time. The Department of Justice answering questions today. This as the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, testified on Capitol Hill about why he's mentioned in the notorious documents. Lutnick defending himself in the Senate hearing, downplaying ties to the late accused sex trafficker after the revelation that he had at least 2 meetings with him after Epstein's 2008 conviction on prostitution charges. Lutnick saying that he and his family visited the island a couple of times, but that was about it. Meanwhile, lawmakers are accusing the Justice Department of making inappropriate redactions to these files. The Attorney General testifying this morning in some heated testimony.
I want to start by asking that, out of respect for the American public and the Epstein survivors, some of whom, of course, are here today, that we can have a transparent conversation and get the public the answers they deserve. I want to briefly direct your attention to 2 documents I'm hoping we will put up on the screen. In the first, an individual emails Jeffrey Epstein asking whether a woman identified as M was pro or civilian, and Epstein responds that she was a civilian, Russian, and fun. In the second email, Epstein writes to Steve Tisch about a Ukrainian girl, noting that she was, quote, a little freaked out by the age difference and stating that he would try to convince her not to return to Ukraine. He then instructs Mr. Tisch to call him, adding, "I don't like records of these conversations." So I'd like to ask a straightforward question that really is either a yes or no answer. Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence warning further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Do you think yes or no?
I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you, but I will answer the question to the best of my ability. As I said, we will look and investigate any case involving any victim. I'm not familiar, there were 3 million pages, of course, with that email, but of course, we will look into anything. The documents have been released, 3 million. The redacted versions, we left them open for all of you to come view. Have you? I believe you view them. If not, will you have some copies?
I'd like to.
But could I finish, please? I'm not being rude. Please.
I only have 5 minutes.
No, yeah, and I only have 30 seconds based on your filibustering.
You didn't.
I know. Wow. We were just talking about how heated this testimony was on the part of Pam Bondi, who refused to just, sometimes these representatives will throw a question just to get their question on the record, all right, because they want the question played on the news later, and they don't care about the answer. They just want their question out there so that they can look like, they're challenging the witness. But Pam Bondi wasn't having any of that. She was going right back at these representatives. So it was a real back and forth. That was one of the tamer moments in this testimony. It got pretty heated. We were watching it here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Play just a portion for you just now. When we come back here, we're going to talk about our weather. It clouded up today. Rain showers moving through the area. How long is it going to stick around? Meteorologist Alex Forbes on deck to tell us when we continue. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Tom Haynes, joined by meteorologist Alex Forbes, here tracking our week-long forecast. Alex, we're in the middle of the week. You guys promised us some rain today, which happened.
Were you surprised?
No, but some of the, well, I'll tell you where I was surprised. This afternoon, I was in the building here, and we have a roof where you can hear the rain if it's falling.
Yeah.
would that be a steel roof? I guess. I don't know what kind of roof is up there, but
in the studio.
You could hear the rain coming down. But that was at like 2:30. I was surprised how late the rain came through this afternoon.
That was the tail end coming through. It really, I mean, I was raining when I was coming to work this morning, and had a lull, and then we saw a quick shower as the rest of this is moving down to the south. But now we're seeing some peaks of blue sky over downtown. David Chandler just walked in. He's like, "Oh, it's sunny outside." I was like, "Yeah, that's getting there." But it's raining heavily in other spots. So let me take you over to Fox 5 Live Viper, the radar, the satellite, the temperatures. Look down south of the city, right? You get some yellows and oranges in there, and the temperatures in the 50s and 60s. So our temperature is cooled now in Atlanta. We're down to 58 with that northerly breeze. But take a look at this down into Butts County. That's going to be just south of Locust Grove. It's going to be that stretch 75 where you're in Lamar County for like 2 seconds, and then down there into the Macon area, pocket of some heavier rain. No lightning with any of this, but that's the last of the showers that are moving down to the south. Put the loop on it. They're about to hit Eatonton, down there into Macon, Warner Robins. That's going to keep on moving that way. Take a look at these. Your rainfall totals over the last 24 hours. Not a lot of rain in most spots, but if you're up in Dawson County, you're going, what in the world are you talking about? I got an inch of rain. Southern Murray County got an inch and a half of rain. Parts of Gilmer County, an inch and a third. It was a very isolated amount that saw a lot. We mentioned yesterday that this would be possible up across the mountains. Everybody else between, we were saying a tenth to a half inch. Most people were closer to the tenth of an inch mark. So into the evening tonight, clouds are going to continue to clear. We'll be completely clear by 11 p.m. Then for tomorrow at the bus stop, kind of cooler, much cooler than this morning, 38, mostly clear, 63 tomorrow afternoon. Now we are going to remain above the norm here for the next several days. That includes Valentine's Day at 62, includes President's Day at 65, and Tuesday at 68. How about that? 72 next Wednesday. I tell you what, so after work next Wednesday, I'm going to Florida for 2 days, and it's going to be in the upper 70s, and I'm stoked. So is Georgia, so everybody can revel in that.
So you don't need to go to Florida. You
right.
Stay right
well, it's going to be upper 70s instead of low 70s. Okay. So low temperatures, we're back to reality tomorrow, 30s. That's about where we should be. In fact, that's exactly what we're forecasting. But those rain chances, 90% there on Sunday. It is going to be a wet Sunday. Some of that gets started late Saturday. I expect the daylight hours on Saturday to be completely dry. And most people will stay dry into the evening. It's just Northwest Georgia is going to see that rain begin. That's going to be late Saturday night into Sunday. So there's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast.
What kind of day are we going to get Saturday? Sunny, like during the day, and then
partly cloudy to start.
Clouds, or is it going to be one of those cloudy days with no rain?
Partly cloudy to start. I don't think you'll see the sun past noon.
Okay, so anything you want to do that involves sunshine.
Friday.
Or
Monday.
All right. Not Saturday morning-ish, or?
Ish.
Okay.
Saturday morning-ish.
But no rain for if we're going out for Valentine's Day. Shouldn't get wet.
In Metro Atlanta, yes.
When we're going out to dinner and trying to get around.
Northwest Georgia might get started on some of the shower action, but not the Metro.
And then Sunday is the day to kind of do stuff inside. Right. It's going to be one of those rainy, miserable days.
Sunday's the day to wake up, turn on Fox Local. Judea and I will be there from 9 to 12:30.
All right.
That's
a good idea.
Yeah.
Unlike today, though, where it just kind of came and went.
Right.
We're going to get soaked on Sunday.
Yes, and we need it. So.
Yeah. Because the drought thing comes out tomorrow.
We'll have that for you right here on Fox Local.
I pay attention.
You do.
All right. So I'm going to be looking for those drought numbers, and then we'll see if Sunday can put a further dent in our drought.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Want to get to those. You've been watching the Monks, right? How could you miss them?
Yeah, that's how could I miss them? That's the part.
They made it to Washington, D.C. So the big question is, what's next for the Monks? They've been doing this March of Peace, and that is the National Cathedral on, I believe it is Wisconsin Avenue, just north of Georgetown. They completed their 2,000-mile journey for peace, they called it, reaching Washington, D.C. with a lot of fanfare, thousands of people turning out to watch them arrive. They passed right through Atlanta, which you saw live unfold right here on Fox Local. Hundreds of our own residents here in our own city gathered to watch them walk through. They started in Fort Worth, Texas. They made it all the way to D.C., but that doesn't mean the mission is over. We've seen the message resonate with people from coast to coast. After a 2,000-mile journey, this group of about 24 or so Buddhist monks crossed over the Potomac River. They head back to Fort Worth on Thursday and promise to continue their journey in one way or another. When we come back, the chilling story out of Tucson, Arizona, involving the mother of Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, got those chilling images yesterday of a person approaching Nancy Guthrie's door in the middle of the night. Now investigators have more information as to what happened today. Somebody was detained in the early morning hours. We're going to talk about the latest in the investigation when we come back. Breaking news and the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother out in Tucson, Arizona, with the discovery of a note, another one sent to TMZ today. This after somebody was brought into custody for questioning, but then later released after we got that chilling video of what appeared to be an individual approaching Nancy Guthrie's door in the middle of the night on the night that she was allegedly kidnapped. Let's get out to Fox's Amalia Roy live in Tucson for us with the very latest this afternoon on the investigation. Amalia, what more do we know today?
Good afternoon. We know that this morning the FBI was searching around the area surrounding Nancy Guthrie's home, multiple roads in the Catalina foothills. And moments ago, two men came here. I'm outside Annie Guthrie's home. That is Nancy's daughter and the sister of Savannah Guthrie. Two men walked inside. They came out with some bags and grabbed some mail, but they did not identify themselves. And this is after a very active night. The authorities, they searched a house down in Rio Rico. It's a community about an hour south from Tucson, and a man named Carlos identified himself, saying that they searched his house and that he was the one that they detained and questioned after a traffic stop. He says he didn't know what was going on. He is a delivery driver who works around the Tucson area, but he said he had nothing to do with Nancy's disappearance.
Did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure?
Nah, they just came up. They until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
He was later released, and we still do not have an identified suspect or person of interest, even after the security video came out showing a person walking up to Nancy Guthrie's doorstep wearing a mask and gloves and trying to cover up the camera.
The questioning of that individual, Amalia, just goes to show how intense this investigation is. And they are going door to door asking questions about anybody knowing anything about the person that is appearing on camera. Do you know anything more about this note that TMZ got today saying that apparently the person, the author of the email, said that they know who the kidnapping suspect may be, but they were also demanding Bitcoin payment for information leading authorities to that person?
What we do know is that so far the FBI nor the Pima County Sheriff's Department has given any credibility to any of these notes that are out there. This was the case with the notes that were sent to media organizations last week, including the one that had the 5 p.m. Monday Mountain Time deadline for ransom to be paid, and similarly the note that TMZ is claiming the FBI has not given credibility to as well. The latest that we've heard from the FBI on any ransom is that they're unaware of any communication between the Guthrie family and any of the author of any notes.
Well, it's just such a confounding investigation. So many loose ends here, so much compelling evidence, and you have everyone from the President of the United States on down assisting in this investigation. You have to think, if they don't have answers already, that the FBI is going to come up with something very soon. Amalia Roy, live on top of this story for us from Tucson, Arizona. Amalia, thanks. On to breaking news now. Doug Evans was on another story for us, which I talked about at the end of the 2 p.m. streaming hour, that woman that took off with that school bus. But he stumbled onto another breaking story, one that he's going to bring us now. Doug is following the investigation of a bank robbery suspect. Doug, just taken into custody, and we see some car wreckage there on your screen. What can you tell us?
Hey, good afternoon, Tom. This is the suspect's car right here, and it was the Regions Bank here in Newton, Georgia, and apparently this is the bank robber's car that has crashed near the intersection of Bullsboro Road and the bypass. They're about to hook it up to a tow truck here and move it out. Apparently there was a chase. The suspect crashed here, lost control, and then, Tom, we're told that he ran through this parking lot and then into a shopping center here. And there he was captured by a Sheriff's Department canine Robbie with the Sheriff's Department, the Coweta County Sheriff's Department. That scene has just now cleared. It was full of police cars here just a few minutes ago. So it was the Regions Bank on Bullsboro Road. How authorities were alerted, when they were alerted, don't know yet. Still a very fresh scene. And we can tell you that they did pursue the car right here to this parking lot. This is a Burger King here on Bullsboro and Noonan Crossing bypass. And apparently the car wrecked out here. The person, the bank robbery suspect, is in custody thanks to the work of the Sheriff's Department with their canine handler and a canine by the name of Robbie, a canine that we have featured here on Fox 5 before. He was the canine of a deputy who was killed in the line of duty 2 years ago after a high-speed chase in Alabama. He was reassigned to another deputy, a young deputy here at the Coweta County Sheriff's Office. And this is a big capture. This is a big win. We have followed their story, their training over the years after being reassigned to a new deputy. And this is a big arrest. The bank robbery suspect in custody after this high-speed chase.
Yeah, Doug, and I'm sure, just based on your daily reporting here on Fox Local, that some kind of dash cam video is going to be made available about the conclusion of this chase and apprehension. As you said, it doesn't appear that anyone either in the parking lot or out there on the street or in the bank was injured in this whole thing. Just that this guy tried to get away, crashed the vehicle, tried to get off on foot, and they ultimately, with the assistance of that canine, finally caught up to him.
That's right. I'm looking at the license plate on this car. Tom, it says it's a Troup County plate. So we don't know anything about the car. Maybe it's stolen, maybe it's not, maybe it belongs to the bank robbery suspect. But this is the car that was involved in the bank robbery. Has a license plate, Troup County. Pretty spectacular crash, man. Full airbag deployment. The front end's all bashed in. The wheels are blown out. Both bumpers are off the car. Looks like it was wedged between this light pole and a tree here. So this is Tom, take a look at this intersection. This is one of the busiest intersections in Coweta County right here, in between two major shopping centers. So very, very busy street. Seeing this kind of police activity here today.
Wow, an incredible scene breaking right before us. The conclusion of an attempted bank robbery there in Coweta County. Doug, you mentioned it, I believe it was a Regions Bank in that area near that intersection?
Yeah, there's a Regions Bank, Tom, and I'm not really sure. There's a bunch of banks on Ballsboro Road here in Noonan. Regions Bank, I'm told, was the bank that was robbed today. And I'm not really sure how far away that is from my location here at this intersection. Doesn't seem like it's very far. I don't think it's very far from here. I might be able to ask one of these officers. So how far is the Regions Bank from here? 2 miles to Regions. What's that? 2 miles to Regions, maybe? If that. Yeah, they're saying 2 miles, if that, Tom. So very short chase. To here.
A quick apprehension on the part. We see the Noonan police SUV there. This all happened so fast. Just based on the great police work that you cover so often down there. You know, it's just so interesting to see how quickly these things come to a head. In this case, with the arrest and apprehension of that suspect who tried to get away, but you know, not only the tripping of the emergency button in the bank, but then the moving in of the Noonan Police Department, Coweta County, and then the deployment of that canine, all culminating really just minutes later in the apprehension of that bank robbery suspect, Doug. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, Tom. He was sitting in the sheriff's office parking lot miles away. All of a sudden, I saw Noonan police cars go flying by, Coweta police cars going flying by. Made a quick call, made some quick text messages, and learned of this bank robbery. And was able to get over here and capture the scene. Pretty interesting that it's unfolding here in the middle of the afternoon. You think, you know, we're not far from Interstate 85 here, Tom. I have to think that he turned the wrong way. Because this is not the way back to Troup County, if indeed that's where he's been, and indeed that's where he was going. Maybe he had to make the turns he needed to get away, but we'll see.
Well, Doug, your audio's coming in and jumping in and out, but we're getting the gist kind of what you're talking about. The fact that, you know, the interstate's not far, that major intersection there, and the police activity surrounding that vehicle that was allegedly used by this bank robbery suspect who crashed out there in the parking lot, tried to get away, but he didn't get very far before the dogs moved in and took this guy down, this suspect. Doug Evans with on-the-spot reporting for us this afternoon. Boy, breaking as it happens here on Fox Local. Doug, thanks. When we come back, you might think of Georgia and the exports that we put out in our state to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. We're not talking peaches. We're not talking pecans. We're talking about something else, something you might not think of. You're going to hear and see it live next. Welcome back, everybody. A lot of ground covered for you live here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. So glad you've been with us for most of it. I'm Tom Haynes, your host, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. So happy you're streaming with us this afternoon on our Fox Local app on your mobile device, or if you're at home watching us, so happy you're here, fox5atlanta.com, or on our YouTube channel at Fox 5 Atlanta. Of course, we're also on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM, all over the place, in addition to all of our social media channels. We're just glad you're here. You know, Georgia's #1 export apparently isn't what you might think it is. We got a $12 billion export industry in the form of aerospace parts. All right, so what's that all about? Our Chris Rosenthal at a new company which exports just that. Chris, tell us where you are and what these folks make.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, $12.6 billion industry in 2025. And that industry is drawn about 800 or so companies here to Georgia. One of those companies here is PBS Aerospace. It's actually a 200-year-old company, but they're here in Roswell now. They've chosen to set up a shop here. So I'm joined by the PBS Aerospace.
Hey, Chris.
Thanks for joining us. First of all, tell me a little bit about this business, a little bit about the history of PBS here.
Yeah, PBS is a 211-year-old Czech company. We're from the Czech Republic. We opened our doors here in the United States in September the 4th. We build high-precision small jet turbine engines, as you see behind me. This is our TJ40. He's a big seller. He is 8 pounds, 100 pounds of thrust. This will go in any application that you can imagine. So think the Golden Dome, interceptors, UAVs, anything. PBS really powers the defense industry so that we give them the ability to just be as creative and innovative as they can be and move very fast. So we give them that ability to move fast.
So these things are used, kind of thing that are used in the battlefield.
That's correct. These are tested. These are on the battlefield right now, and in all of our NATO-friendly countries.
Something is so small. This is 8 pounds, right?
Yes.
It's so small, so light, but yet, very has an impact, I guess you could say. But,
yes, this goes as fast as a commercial airliner goes in 500 miles.
And tell me, why set up all the way from Czech Republic? Why come to Roswell?
Yeah, great question. I actually got to be on the team that recruited PBS into Roswell. The city of Roswell, in partnership with the state of Georgia, went and recruited. They went over to Prague in 2024, recruited them, made some wild promises. They said, we will get you open in Mach speed. We'll get you open in 6 months' time. We basically kind of gave them carte blanche on the permitting process, really came in hand, and made certain they could just get started with and not stop any, which is really unheard of. So they signed the lease on February the 4th, and they moved in, and they were up and running 6 months later.
Wow, and up and running now. And I mean, part of that is even some of these test areas here that you guys have.
Yeah, we had these designed in Kennesaw, Georgia. These are our testing cells. They're very safe and they're very soundproof. You cannot hear anything when we have these engines on. This is one of our TJ-40s that was tested today. When they're tested for vibrations. They're tested to make
we're so deep into these soundproof chambers, Chris, that we lost your audio. So apparently they really are soundproof because we can't hear you anymore. But very cool. If you can still hear me and back out of the chamber so that we can get your audio back, and I'll be told when that is. Some of the other processes besides the testing, is the actual manufacturing of these products done there?
Yes, yeah, they are manufacturing them here. First of all, do you hear me again, Tom?
Yeah, we got you. We got you back.
You got me now. Okay. Yeah. So sounds like when we went inside the facility there, the sound went out. But yeah, all the manufacturing, it's all done here, and you're actually hiring and growing more to build this out more, huh?
That's right. In January, we had 4 employees. Today, we have 55. By the end of the year, we'll be at 100, and we're going to continue to grow after that.
Absolutely. And all of this built here in
That's
Roswell.
correct, yeah. So 99% of all of the parts are from the U.S. 80% of the parts are actually manufactured here in Georgia. So we are very much a part of the Georgia ecosystem.
Yeah, so it's an ecosystem. It's a network. Everything's sort of tied together. You're talking about Kennesaw, Georgia over there. So this is all Georgia grown here, Tom.
Well, you're always kind of tipping folks off about job opportunities, and yet you're at another one. A company that seems to be growing fast with this aerospace industry. And it sounds like PBS Aerospace, if that is your thing, might be the place to go if you're in that field. So great exposure of one of the companies that has chosen to at least partially call Georgia home here in the United States to manufacture these innovative projects. Chris, thank you so much. Well, you know the Atlanta Braves are getting ready for the big season. They are down in Florida training at Cool Today Park. Our Victor Prieto and Justin Felder are down there watching our Braves prepare for this season.
Hey, Victor Prieto here alongside Justin Felder in Northport, Florida for day 2 of spring training. Justin, beautiful weather out here, very nice. And Braves pitchers and catchers reported earlier this week, a lot of them having to be here Monday. And we've seen today a lot of different hitters arriving, even though they really weren't, they don't have to report.
Yeah, just like Victor and I always show up to work early. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe we don't do that, but guys like Ozzy Albies, they did. Ozzy was here yesterday. yesterday. And of course, we saw Ronald Acuna Jr. fresh off his Super Bowl halftime show cameo. He was in the batting cages, hitting home runs, doing a little trash talking. So Ronald back into regular form. But you're absolutely right, Victor. Pitchers, catchers, they got to be here. Position players doing it just because they want to get in some early work.
Yeah, we saw Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, like you said, has been here. The entire infield basically here. Ronald Acuna Jr. declaring to us after he hit a ball, almost hit the Jumbotron, said, I'm healthy again. So I think Braves fans, that's all you need to know about Ronald Acuna Jr. today. But we also have to talk a little bit about the pitching rotation, which isn't very healthy. Justin, unfortunately, Spencer Schwellenbach getting put on the 60-day IL. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and we got a chance to talk to him this morning, Victor, and you feel for him because he was dealing with injuries last year. He works and works and works coming back, and then in a regular throwing, exercise a little while ago, felt discomfort. They found bone spurs in his elbow. He's going to need arthroscopic surgery, he told us this morning. So he's not ruling out a return this year, but it would be a while, best case scenario. You hate it for him, and now the Braves have to figure out who's next. And I know that's something you've been asking guys about today.
Yeah, I mean, Grant Holmes was an obvious one where he's maybe get thrust into a situation where he was also injured last season. I mean, you may look at some of the younger guys, Hurston Waldrop. We saw him towards the end of the year, and he had some pretty good outings, also some pretty not so good outings. But it's one of those where, talking with manager Walt Weiss, he says this type of injury is obviously terrible, but it also opens up opportunity for some of these younger guys. He called it, maybe we find some diamonds of the roughs down here in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Braves have done it before. As we look forward to the rest of the week, we're looking forward to hearing from Alex Anthopoulos, the Braves GM. Are there more moves in the offing? And then, of course, guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. Still looking forward to hearing from them, as well as Chris Sale, Spencer Strider. A lot more to look forward to all this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time down here. Spring training. We'll have a lot more, obviously, hitters. Most of them are here, but they're starting official practice later this week, and we'll be alongside here with all coverage, guys.
All right, Victor, Justin, guys, down in spring training in Florida. You can see the palm trees there in the background. Looks like fantastic weather, as it always is in spring down in Florida. It's pretty reliable, predictable weather. I say that March and April, and even into May, is some of the nicest weather of the entire season in Florida. So if you're looking to go down there, now's the time. Thank you so much for joining us here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour. I'm Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.